2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Joe Burrow on the field, throwing, looking great. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And if there is going to be one quarterback who's going to dethrone Patrick Mahomes, Perloff, it is Joe Burrow. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm great. So one quarterback, there's 22 players at a time.
Well,
so Joe Burrow is going to just like a mano-a-mano battle?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Does that mean you're...
One-on-one.
Yeah, explain this. That means you're picking the Bengals to win the Super Bowl this year? Give me a little more depth here.
Okay, so first let's get into Joe Burrow and the recovery from the wrist injury because, this one is unique. And even Burrow himself will admit this is not like every other injury. First, he says that his wrist, he tore a ligament in his wrist in November. You guys will remember that, right? He says it's sometimes sore, but the recovery is actually reminding him a bit of his ACL that he tore in his rookie year.
Wrist has good days and bad days, just like the knee did. We're still pretty early. We still got a ways till the season, so we're gonna make sure that we give it the breaks that it needs. We're gonna be smart about it, but on the days that I'm feeling good, I'm gonna go.
There you go. Okay, so he said this wrist injury, Perloff, again, it's rare. No major quarterback that we can remember had to overcome something like this.
Kind of flying blind throughout the beginning of that rehab process because, I haven't found any quarterbacks that have had this before. The guys that I have talked to have been, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers that didn't have to have that wrist mobility and the little intricacies of the wrist movement like I do.
Right. So, a linebacker, a defensive lineman, they don't really know what it takes to be quarterback and what you need out of your wrist. So that might be a bit concerning. And even with this flying blind on his wrist injury, I still believe that Burrow is the guy, along with the Bengals, to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs if they will be dethroned.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking ahead to the season, and I do think the Chiefs are not going to win the third straight Super Bowl. My basic logic is no one has ever three-peated. And is this Chiefs team so much better than every team in the last 30 years? No. They're right there with a bunch of other teams. I think there are a number of quarterbacks who could knock off the Chiefs. We almost saw Jalen Hurts do it 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. We almost saw Brock Purdy do it in last year's Super Bowl. So why are we looking at, Joe Burrow is a magical human being. I don't like betting against him.
Yeah.
But there's a whole
It's a show commandment.
There's a whole
actually.
mix of quarterbacks. I think the Ravens, if they can keep healthy this year, they're going to be so bent on revenge. There's no way Lamar is going to lose the way he lost last year to them. I think there's a group of 7 or 8 quarterbacks who can come after the Chiefs. The other thing, too, is like Mahomes is not 3 years ago Mahomes. They've changed their style of play to be more of a run defense team because they know the defenses have adjusted. Like, why is Burrow so much more special than all those other superstars around the league? Plus, you have C.J. Stroud coming up. There are a lot of quarterbacks coming at the throne. Burrow is one of them to me, but not the one.
Okay, so you're right. We are golden age of quarterbacks right now, particularly the AFC, but all those young draft picks now are in the NFC, so we'll see if any of those guys start panning out, your guy Jalen Hurts, et cetera. But the reason why I like Burrow is we forget sometimes. We forget that when Joe Burrow was winning games at Arrowhead, which is extremely hard to do, there was actually a conversation about whether or not Joe Burrow was actually the best quarterback in the league, and maybe there were camps who thought he could have been better than Mahomes. Now, since then, Burrow got hurt. Remember, he had a calf injury coming into training camp last year, and that kind of slowed him up, kind of took some wind out of the sails, and then he has the wrist injury. It's just been the injuries that have planted any seeds of doubt about Joe Burrow, and he's got better weapons than Mahomes. I mean, Travis Kelce is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. But I've got Jamar Chase, and while some people say, oh, you got T. Higgins, he wants a trade, he's going to be all disgruntled. I'm looking at a guy who's playing for his next contract. I love guys who are in contract years. I love a guy like a Trey Hendrickson who is asking for a trade because I know this guy has got to ball out if he wants his market to be as big as as humanly possible. So I'm okay with a little bit of agitation like that if it gets the best out of guys. And I think the biggest thing is the only thing that has kept Burrow from already dethroning Mahomes has just been the injuries. And if he can figure that out, and if they're doing all these new approaches, he's not just sitting back on his laurels, and we're talking about Burrow, I think he figures that part out of it, and they're the team that strikes the most fear into the heart of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting. So you're saying Burrow is healthy. Last year, there are a lot of good teams in the AFC. I'm not sure I totally see it that way. I think this tournament's going to be wildly competitive.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals, think about, first of all, they're going to play in the AFC North, so they're not going to have number one seed. They're going to have to beat teams like the Ravens, the Texans, eventually the Chiefs. I actually think more of your Bills than you probably do. I think Josh Allen played pretty well in last year's playoffs. I think they're just in the mix. I don't see them as the 1B team in the NFL. So that's kind of what I'm hearing you say.
Well, don't you think that Burrow has been, here's the thing about Josh Allen. If you're going to be Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, you got to do it. I mean, it hasn't always been his fault why they lost, but he hasn't been able to do it yet. Lamar Jackson, they no-showed in an AFC championship game at home. The Burrow's been the only guy, and along with their defense and Lou Anarumo and all the people who get all the flowers for the Cincinnati Bengals, their defensive coordinator. But he's really been the guy, besides Tom Brady, late career Tom Brady with the Patriots, who's really been able to go into Arrowhead and actually do something.
And how many times has Burrow beaten Mahomes in the playoffs? Am I missing something here?
Well, it beat him once and got to the Super Bowl and should have beat him again if not for a bad defensive, roughing the passer, basically.
I totally agree with that. That game, you're saying...
That game was in the balance.
That game was close, but... You're saying
they were leading. The Bengals were ahead.
A lot of quarterbacks have come close to beating Patrick Mahomes. I just think that you're just a little high on the Bengals. They're super dangerous, super competitive. But you're saying you're presenting a picture where it's the Chiefs and the Bengals, and that just ain't the case this year. There are a lot of teams coming at the throne.
You're right, and we're talking about Joe Burrow was back on the practice field yesterday. He's recovering from a torn ligament in his wrist, which is definitely concerning for a quarterback, no doubt. No one's really come back from something like this, but I still believe he's the guy who could dethrone Mahomes because we forget sometimes because Burrow's not flashy, right? He doesn't get a lot of headlines. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're not leading all the shows all the time. They're just a little bit more under the radar, which I think actually sort of helps them. Another team, say this is the Dallas Cowboys, say it's even Buffalo, say it's the Chiefs. You have your second best wide receiver and maybe your best pass rusher are asked for trades in the same week. This would be huge news, devastating. But the Bengals can sort of fly under the radar, and I think we I don't say forget about Burrow because he's amazing, but I think we kind of do. And you look in the AFC North, and you're right, Lamar Jackson just won his second MVP, and we are questioning Deshaun Watson and what he's going to be like. You're obviously wondering about the Steelers with this, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, and they always seem to make the playoffs, even though their, whole is greater than some of the parts. And I think Burrow is kind of weirdly the forgotten guy until he's not, until he is making a run in the second half of the season and being the guy who can scare the Chiefs. And I think they do scare the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'd like to I wish I had a crystal ball and I could see. You're right. If he's in the playoffs, he might be the scariest quarterback. But to say that you're making it like it's a magic bird, and we're going to get into magic bird later in the show, a magic bird situation where it's Mahomes and Burrow. I don't see the NFL like that at all. I see it's like Mahomes and a group of 8 who are coming at him. Like he's in that mix for sure. And listen, you're right. Fourth quarter in Arrowhead, there might be not another quarterback who I'd be more scared of. That being said, like a lot has to go right for Cincinnati to get in that situation. And you did mention, have you seen Trey Hendrickson and T. Higgins show up at camp yet? I have not.
No.
So that's another big issue. That's
it's okay. Chad Ochocinco told me T. Higgins is going to be there.
Okay.
Chad would never lead me astray.
And also, too, this is a new NFL. Like, scary defense is like, it's kind of like the NBA right now. Scary defense is now replacing scary offense. And the Bengals, Lou Anarumo is a madman at defense coordinator. But are they more scary than a bunch of other teams? You said the Steelers. Trey Hendrickson's great. Is he TJ Watt? Is he Baltimore with that rotating cast of nobodies who become superstars?
Yeah.
Is he, I'm quite high on Houston. I admit that's a bit of a stretch. They're a young team. Maybe they show up. There's just a lot of teams. So, yeah, I love your optimism about Burrow, that he's going to be the one to dethrone Mahomes. It's going to take so much more than one quarterback. I think something's going to happen to the Chiefs. I don't even think this is going to be the year that Burrow is going to be able to knock out Mahomes. I just don't think we're not going to get the magic bird thing you're talking about.
You don't think there's no collision course? You don't think between the Chiefs and the Bengals?
First of all, we just saw that things keep getting worse for the Chiefs' number one receiver, Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce keeps getting older.
Yeah.
Can Chris Jones single-handedly be a defensive line every year? They lost L'Jarius Sneed. I just think that so much has to go right to set up this little bird magic thing you're talking about, that I kind of rejecting the principle just because of the nature of the team sport of the NFL. Yeah, it'd be amazing. If we had another AFC title game with those two guys, I just see there's so many barriers to get through, starting with the Bengals' health. It's not just Joe Burrow. I feel like that team has had trouble staying healthy. The Ravens always have trouble staying healthy. We'll see. I like what you're saying. It's an interesting theory that Burrow is the man. It's just in the NFL, it doesn't work like that.
855-212-4227. We start the day off on Joe Burrow back on the practice field. Says he feels good, but also says he never really knows how the wrist is going to react until the next day. So we'll see how much he's, able to push through. And then also, Perloff, I know you love this. I'm saying Burrow. Do you want to maybe say, is it Burrow of the field who's going to take down Mahomes? Something like that. Because I think Burrow's the guy who's already proven it. So as long as he's healthy, he's proving it. Whereas Lamar Jackson had the perfect setup last year. Number 1 overall seed, home field advantage, came in, couldn't do diddly.
I mean, Zay Flowers holds on that ball at the goal line. It was a 17-10 game. It wasn't like they lost 38-6.
It felt worse. Lamar was making terrible mistakes.
Yeah, the fourth quarter, though, you saw, I know the Chiefs had played and sort of slowed down the game, but I felt like the Ravens, wait, what's happening here? They woke up in the second half and things got a little scary. It was 17-10, and they fumbled at the goal line once, and then they had a gigantic penalty.
Oh, Lamar was out of sorts. He was not good in that game. He was not comfortable in this game.
300 yards.
And what, though? I mean, he was holding on to the ball like crazy. He was trying to make stuff happen when it wasn't there. They got totally out of their offense, which had been good for them all season long. Yeah, you and I just will always see that game a little differently.
Two plays go differently. I mean, first of all, that fumble at the goal line was just absolutely enormous. I thought that game was much closer than you do, I think. And the final score was 1 touchdown.
I know, but that was just because the Chiefs did something weird and didn't score in the second half of the game. And it was just a very odd second half. But Lamar I think he would even tell you, he left so much to be desired in that game. Meanwhile, Burrow seems to rise to the level, and his level goes up and up and up as he's going into the postseason, even when he's getting sacked 100 times and even when things aren't all perfect around him. Again, 855-212-4227. But I know you would love this part of the Burrow story, Perloff, because you're a big what a guy does in the off season, guy? Eating more calories.
Yeah, he's big.
Sturdying up the frame, everybody. Didn't say best shape of his life, but we're on our way to one of those stories.
Yeah, I get it.
This is like your wheelhouse. Backup quarterbacks and guys making off-season adjustments.
I like putting on a lot of weight. Will that keep him healthy? I don't know.
If it helps the wrist.
What's your yeah. So the other thing, I do like the quote that he could still lift even though his wrist was hurt. So how bad are these? First of all, the other thing too is
how bad could it be?
Joe Burrow's injury. Like we all know, Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. We know Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. I was actually thinking about this morning, like, wait, what happened to Joe Burrow again? Because that was
Wrist.
a weird injury.
Yep.
Like, but we didn't really know. Like you said, it's not a normal quarterback injury. So, like, do we know the extent of a wrist? We have no history on what this actually means for him.
And that's what
nothing at all.
He's flying blind.
Yeah, we are too, in a sense.
855-212-4227. Who has the best shot of ending the Chiefs' dynasty? I say it's Burrow, and I'll take him over the field. 855-212-4227. Perloff will take the field. What about you? We've got so much to do today, including it's Wednesday, which means we do great debates around here. This one, a little on the nose on the news, but not the news you might think of. We've got that, and we've got more beefs between sports, figures, teams, all of that stuff. It's even bled into sports we never thought it would. 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff show. All right, back on Maggie and Perloff. So there's a problem in the NBA, Maggie. We have a problem.
A problem with the officiating? I know. It's
Not the
horrific.
officiating. That's one problem. We have two problems.
Oh, okay.
What is with all these young teams who are playing defense? What is this NBA? Where is this coming from?
Take that, James Harden.
I need my defending champions to score more than 80 points. I need my Mavericks to score more than 95. These they're waves of defenders. They're all 6'6" and have arms that are like the size of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It is insane, this defensive revolution. Is it good for the NBA? I don't know, but we'll get more into that series later. Luka, either he's hurt or he's just a fraud. There's two choices here, Maggie. Which one are you going with?
He's hurt. Okay. I can't go fraud yet. First of all, he's still like 25. Like, Luka doesn't age. How is that? Or he came into the league, he was like 15 or something.
Yeah.
He's still super young. I can't say fraud yet. I don't know if his style is a winning style in like the playoffs, but is it a combination? You're talking about these great defenses in the NBA now. Is it a combination, though, of they're playing good defense and also they're just calling the game totally different than when the season started?
It could be. We're going to have NBA writer Kirk Goldsberry on. He's a huge analytic guy. Yep. I'm dying to know this. Is it that these teams were built with defense in mind, or are the officials helping them? I wonder what the numbers say, because I had that thought too. But then you look at the actual makeup of these teams. They're all 23 years old, have all the energy in the world. They seem to enjoy playing defense.
Yeah, like Anthony Edwards. Like, these guys want the defensive assignment. That is different than, like, Steph Curry, for example.
Right. Who wants to play defense? I mean, nobody wants to play defense, but then you see the T-Wolves and the Thunder are, like, smiling on defense. It's kind of creepy. Last night, unbelievable performance. OKC, I think I'm one of the many people did not give them the credit they deserve. Man, that team's tough.
Yeah, so haven't lost a game yet. So that's pretty good.
That little detail. That's an analytic right there. 5-0, Maggie.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know what Kirk would have to say about that. He's not going to join us till the fourth hour of the show. However, we did start the show with football, asking about Joe Burrow now back on the practice field. Who's going to end the reign for Patrick Mahomes? Who's most likely? I say Joe Burrow, and I'll take him over the field. In the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. We look awesome today, so come on in. Say hi to the Weedos and the coffee drinkers, where Louisiana says Maggie must be on medication for how high she is on Burrow. Nope. Just seen it.
Kendrick Lamar right that bar?
Yeah. You've seen it once, Maggie.
I've seen it. No, I feel like I just like Josh Allen, the 13 seconds game, Burrow didn't do anything wrong in the game that they lost in the AFC, the back-to-back AFC championship games, and the one that he lost where the guy pushes Patrick Mahomes out of bounds, leads to a 15-yard personal foul, and then the Chiefs come back from there. That wasn't Burrow's fault. Like, they should have won that game.
I've seen Jalen Hurts play the perfect game except for a fumble against the Chiefs. I mean, he shredded the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I saw Brock Purdy have a game-winning drive and then his coach make the wrong decision in overtime. We've seen a lot of this. Why is Burrow any different than any of those guys?
I think he's better than those guys. If I gave you right now, you can start your franchise with Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, or Jalen Hurts. You know you're taking Burrow.
Well, yes, but that being said, like I think any of those quarterbacks could beat Mahomes in a game. I mean, it's going to happen. The Chiefs are not going to win 20 straight Super Bowls. Somebody's going to beat them, and I think Burrow has a chance. But there are a lot of other guys too.
Let's head to the phones. 855-212-4227. Sean is in Atlanta. Sean, you're on Maggie and Perloff. Good morning.
Yes, I don't know what Perloff been watching the last few years. I agree with you, Maggie. Burrow scares Mahomes. And he did beat Mahomes. Perloff is not paying attention to that. He beat Mahomes to go to the Super Bowl. And what I want to also say is people keep forgetting about my Pittsburgh Steelers. We're the only team that's talked about that we have the tough division. But we were 5-1 last year in the division, 3-3 the year before, 4-2 the year before, 4-2 the year before, 16-8 in the division the last 4 years with Trubisky and Pickett, and the last 2 years of old Big Ben. Watch out for Pittsburgh. All the teams in the AFC North got to watch out for all the teams in the AFC North, not just Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We're going to have a minimum of 12 victories. I'm confident. Watch out for Pittsburgh. But Burrow scares Kansas City. Burrow is the man. He won in college. He went to the Super Bowl over Mahomes. Should have been twice.
Yep.
So I don't know why you're downing Burrow. He's great.
Sean, thank you for that and for the pop for your Steelers because –
so how's this going to work? Joe Burrow's winning the Super Bowl and the Steelers are winning 12 games. I mean, there is a finite number of wins in the NFL.
Well, the schedule release for the NFL, they said, is not going to officially come out until next week, next Wednesday. However, they did release strength of schedules. I don't know how they were able to calculate that when you don't know the travel.
No, but that's been out since January 3rd, right?
Yeah,
based on last year's win-loss record.
And the NFL put it out another refresh version of it, I guess, yesterday or what have you.
Well, it's the same version. The opponents have been set since week 18.
Yes,
right.
We know that, but I don't know. We got a new article yesterday about it, so maybe that's hard up for content.
Yeah.
But AFC North, definitely the hardest division in terms of not just their own division, but also who they play. And the NFC South is the easiest. I mean, the only thing about the AFC North, it's been this tough division for so long. But again, like all the quarterbacks do get hurt in this division too, it seems. So, do I give the Steelers just as good a chance as any to get to the playoffs? Of course.
I don't. I mean, you're telling me Russell Wilson, Justin Fields combo is matched up with your guy Joe Burrow, or everyone's guy Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Cleveland gets a lot of guys healthy back, and they have this great offensive coach. No, I think I put the Steelers fourth in that division, and that probably could be the playoffs.
Well,
but
that's the thing. It's like just like our caller Sean just said, they've had the deficiency at quarterback for years now, and somehow they continue to make the playoffs. Oh my gosh, Trubisky is awful. And Kenny Pickett is now a backup.
When did Ben retire?
I mean, when he officially retired was probably 2021. Did he come back for that last year? But he was bad the years before that.
He was not that bad. I mean, Deontay Johnson single-handedly took him out of a bunch of games.
He could barely throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, the Steelers are good. They are great at being 9-7, 10-7, 9-8. They'll be hanging around there for sure. But I mean, look, Baltimore's got Derrick Henry coming in town. Cincinnati has all these guys back and healthy, and you don't see the Steelers as a couple of those other teams on paper?
I mean, I can't say it because I've just watched them find a way. And I think that, and we've been on record about this when all this stuff first went down, I think Fields is going to play the majority of the games this year. And if they get something out of him and that they are able to tap into his potential and he can become a better thrower, then why not? I mean, again, they find ways to win games when they have clear deficiencies at QB.
Win games, right. What's the last time they won a playoff game? 17, right?
Yeah, that's why people are frustrated with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, and I'm sorry because I love the Steelers too. I'm kind of a quasi-Steelers fan. I just give the Bengals and the Ravens so much more chance to go deep in the playoffs. And it's really the quarterback.
Yeah. So we want to put that poll question up there, EJ. Who's going to end Mahomes' reign? I'll take Burrow over the field. Pat Boyle is in today for Andrew Bogusch. How you doing, Pat?
Morning. Where did the Bogusch come from?
Well, when, Andrew Kaplan's making songs for you about Andrew Bogusch, and the computer pronounces it Andrew Bogusch,
wow,
we stick with it.
Those AI singers usually do a pretty good job.
Maybe they're not familiar with Bogusch's work.
No, apparently not.
How you doing today?
Good. Last night we had another great broadcaster. No offense to Bogusch, but much more legendary than him. Ian Eagle.
Oh, impossible.
Dropping more beauties on the TNT broadcast like Oklahoma to describe an early slam dunk. But here's Thunder Radio for one of the more pivotal jams late in the game.
Left corner to Wiggins. Working the dribble on Doncic. Left to right across the lane to the trailing Holmgren. Down the lane. Big two-hand rim-rocking slam. The crowd erupts. Chet Holmgren. A big two-hand assault on the cup, a savage slam.
Yeah, Chet added 3 blocks to his 19 points. And MVP finalist Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues his monster season. He had 29, 9-9 as OKC crushed Dallas in Game 1, 117-95. Perloff, I heard you mentioning if Luka Doncic is hurt or he's just a fraud. Either way, very poor night for him. 19 points on 6 of 19 shooting. Kyrie Irving had 20, but Dallas as a team shot just 39% from the field. Earlier in the night, no Porzingis, no problem at all for the Celtics. They hit 1,000,000 threes, 18 to be exact, and crushed the Cavs in Game 1 in Boston, 120-95. Rough night for their star as well, Jason Tatum. He only had 18, but Jaylen Brown stepped up for 32, and Derek White added 25. Donovan Mitchell, the lone bright spot for Cleveland, with his 33 points. After the game, Jaylen Brown stating the obvious.
We try to come out and be the harder playing team. We stick to our agenda, and we let the chips fall where they may. It's going to be tough for a team to have to beat us 4 times, but as long as we come out and we execute on both ends and we're the harder playing team, I think we'll be fine. Even
tougher now for my New York Knicks.
Yeah, what's the deal with Porzingis? Can we get like some real information here? This is annoying.
I mean,
so he's got a calf. Was it the calf strain? I think was the official ruling, and he they said missed several games.
Yes,
he said he's going to recover at a historic rate. I don't presume. I don't presume you'll see him at all in this series unless somehow it goes 7 games.
Which I don't think anyone thinks it's going to, but we'll see if we hear from the Cavs in a meaningful way. The thing about Porzingis is his injury is like a CVS receipt of everything that he's been nicked up, banged up. I mean, he's 7'4". You're really gonna? I wouldn't even risk it. Like, keep him out until the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even then, in the Eastern Conference Finals, they definitely do not need him. I mean, they're going to be heavy favorites without him. The question is the West, right? So do you even keep him out to the finals?
Oof. I don't know if you could. Can you afford to do that? Because let's just say it is. Let's not to fast forward a little bit, but let's just say it is the Knicks and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. What the heck do they need KP for?
I know, but I know, and we've got people here in the room who are big-time Knicks fans. The Knicks have always played the Celtics really, really tough. It is just one of those things where I know it's regular season. They've always played them very tough.
Wow. I feel like the Celtics...
Even they're definitely at the talent deficiency. I'm sorry.
I think Celtics come in like minus 700 in that series. Like, that's a huge odds.
What we've seen between these two teams is that Porzingis has been the difference in these matchups. Last year, the Knicks pretty much washed the Celtics, and then this year, in the first 3 games they played, Porzingis was a big factor in each of these games. I think that his floor spacing changes the way the Knicks play defense, and he hasn't been a good matchup for them. So if you take Porzingis off the floor, I'm not saying the Knicks had a great shot, but I would feel way better about their chances than if Porzingis is playing.
Well, let me remind everybody, the Knicks do have to still beat the Pacers first.
Yes,
but
that's true.
Devastating news yesterday. Mitchell Robinson now ruled most likely out for the remainder of the playoffs, 6 to 8 weeks. Your boy Embiid, with his dirty plays, ultimately hurt him and re-injured his ankle that he had surgery on.
If Kristaps Porzingis has a CVS receipt for injuries, Mitchell Robinson has 2. I mean, it was bad. That Porzingis play was very dirty, but Mitchell Robinson is always one twisted ankle away from something.
Yeah, but
he's not reliable. He's a good player, but
I mean, Mitch is always hurt, and I think that to be honest, Knicks will have to make a decision about what to do with him in this next season because you got Harden signs a free agent. He's been great as a starting center, but it sucks because I feel like if that Embiid crap doesn't happen in Game 3, I don't know if we're talking about him being gone for the playoffs.
It doesn't matter in this day and age in the NBA. You can throw things on the court multiple times. You can twist somebody's ankle. You can charge the referee. We are in a post-caring matter. Like, nothing matters in the NBA. What does someone have to do to get ejected? Outside of Draymond Green, what does someone have to do to get ejected in the NBA these days?
Step on somebody's chest or just straight up punch somebody.
Apparently not throwing a ball into the stands either.
Yeah, right.
Patrick
Beverley.
Well, the series is over, though. What?
Yeah.
Well, no, the game's still being played.
If you don't see it, you can't.
That's true.
Do anything about it.
The refs don't see anything. We've seen that a ton. Guys kicking the ball that aren't kicking the ball, balls going out of bounds that aren't out of bounds, fouls being called that aren't fouls.
It's
they're
terrible.
They're not doing anything.
Wait, just to be like that was the last game for Beverly, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So they can.
He can be suspended for next year.
I was wondering, like, but that's not really significant, though.
Can they transfer suspensions over to China?
Suspended where? I actually had the same line.
It's like 2 games here. Is that 20 games there? What's the exchange rate on?
And by the way, if you think you're going to get America riled up about Joel Embiid knocking Mitchell Robinson out of the playoffs? No.
It's a little bit of a deep cut, but again, Robinson is out now.
And Embiid is home.
But did you see Beverly, by the way, who had to explain himself on his podcast? I got to be honest. I think some of these guys are doing it just for the podcast.
For content?
How scary is that? Because think about it. I bet that podcast of his got all these downloads, and I bet he kind of feels like he, quote unquote, won here. He says that the fans were saying things that were beyond just 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
Well, you don't throw things at the fans. Then you're the professional on the court. You don't do that. He should be suspended for 10 games.
Well, nobody ever confused Patrick Beverly with a professional.
That is true. Well, speaking of suspensions, as you mentioned it, Maggie, no suspension for Jamal Murray for throwing the heat pack at a referee during the play in Game 2 the other night between the Nuggets and the Wolves. He was fined, though, $100,000. And before the games yesterday, Rudy Gobert won his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award, tying Dikembe Mutombo and Ben Wallace for most all-time. Mind you, that's a day after the Wolves held the reigning champion Nuggets to just 80 points without him. Stanley Cup playoffs last night. Vincent Trocheck lit the lamp against his former team. The Rangers win it in double OT over the Hurricanes 4-3 to take a 2-0 lead. Igor Shesterkin, 54 saves. Maggie, I saw your tweet yesterday about this. How about ESPN cutting away from the game with less than a minute to go in regulation on a Rangers power play to go to the opening of Stars and Avalanche? What a near disaster, near Heidi Bowl.
It was so close, and I think everyone was holding their breath. Like, what did they just do? All of a sudden, you're seeing 2 announcers sort of setting the stage for the next game when you're in power play, as you said, minute left, tie game.
I was screaming at my cable company.
That wasn't the cable company.
I think everybody thought at first, was it just me? But no, that was everybody.
How long ago was the Heidi Bowl? Was that what year was that?
67?
67.
This is, once again, this is not the Heidi Bowl. Let's just be clear. Joel Embiid injuring Mitchell Robinson and a blip on ESPN.
But it could have been if the Rangers scored.
Awful.
Think about that. Nobody saw a game-winning power play goal in the final minute of regulation in the playoffs.
Carolina with the shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it would have been totally devastating. Meanwhile, they end up playing 2 OTs, which I'm sure you're going to get.
Yes, and then we got OT in the Stars game because they melted and blew a 3-0 lead after the first period. The Avalanche come all the way back, and then Miles Wood wins it in OT, 4-3 Colorado takes Game 1. And then finally, we're 8 days away from the PGA Championship at Valhalla in Louisville. There's only a few reasons why we'd be talking about it this early, and one of those, of course, is PhilMickelson. Lefty made waves across social media a few days ago that has continued to make ripples as we near the second major of the year. He responded to a popular golf account, Flushing It, which stated the issue of LIV players possibly not qualifying for majors. So LIV recently gave up its bid with the OWGR for world ranking points in March, so even top players like Taylor Gooch, the reigning LIV Player of the Year, has not qualified for any major this year, and he said, I wouldn't even be trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. So when the Flushing It page tweeted that LIV's priority should be trying to get its players qualified for majors, Phil responded by tweeting, maybe some LIV players won't be missed, but what if none of the LIV players join? Would they be missed? What about next year when more great players join, or the following year? At some point, they will care and will have to answer to sponsors and television, #FAAFO, which is bleep around and find out. Phil has since deleted the tweet. Mind you, Mickelson was asked last week about being the OG king of viral golf content, and he said, quote, I just say a lot of stupid bleep, end quote. But does he have a point here?
I mean, this is where it gets interesting because I think everyone has sort of checked out a little bit on the LIV story, but when it comes to the majors, that's where you get people back in. Because if the LIV golfers actually did in some way boycott the major tournaments, guys who have exemptions, who can always get in, I think that does water down the field in the majors. And then finally, that is a chip that LIV could play, or something that a card they have in their hand that could really scare the majors and the PGA.
I would love to see it. You're telling me John Rahm and Brooks Koepka are skipping the Masters. That is never, ever, ever going to happen. This conversation is pure fiction.
Okay,
There's no way those dudes, they would say goodbye, LIV in 3 seconds to go to the Masters.
Who signs the checks?
Yeah, but it's not skipping it. They might not qualify.
If they have exemptions, if they've already won, then they can get back in. But the thing is who signs the checks, though? Because if you're getting paid all this money to go for LIV, right, $100 million and all this stuff, these eye-popping sums, then whatever LIV wants you to do, if they want to make a statement here and they want to put them down on the table, then the person who signs your checks is what you're going to do. That's the person you're going to follow. And,
Well,
and they sign contracts. I don't know if they can get out of it that easy.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, Liv can say goodbye to all those elite golfers because I know that Brooks Koepka does not care that much about Liv. Barely cares about
the money,
about that bread.
though. He wants the money.
He would pull the majors out and Liv disappears in 3 days. Honestly, you think Cam Smith, my guy, Cameron Smith?
Please don't with the accent. It's so
from
bad.
Down Under? Cameron Smith from Down Under? You think he wants that Liv money more than competing in the British Open? Get out of here. These guys don't care that much.
It's like Cam
you think
Smith's in the
I
room.
thought about the Masters?
Yeah. Throw some shrimp on the barbie and play some live golf?
Oh,
no
God.
way.
This goes the other way, in my opinion. I think it makes the majors scared, not the live guys scared.
The majors know what I mean, especially Augusta. They know what they have. They don't care. I think there's no way the live ceases to exist if they do not let their players in the majors. It doesn't cease to exist. It barely exists now. Nobody even knows where it is, but it's on the CW or something. But if they
I don't even think it's there anymore.
if they tell Brooks Koepka that you can't be in the majors, I'm telling you, the things change really fast.
Okay, but we don't know his contract. He might not have a say.
Right, I was gonna say, like,
But how
he can't
long?
just say, "Oh, I quit."
Yeah.
Like, I think that he'd be contractually obligated to do whatever he has to do.
For how long? Because that'd be the last contract any
The
of those guys
Saudis
sign.
probably forever.
I wouldn't mess with the Saudis.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the live deals are that long. I mean, honestly, I think all these guys be like Liv's not going to do that because they know they're not going to get the top golfers.
They already have them.
Yeah, but they'll leave. These are lifetime contracts. This is not like the mafia. I honestly like. I really. You should check out those live contracts. You think that if they tell any name a live golfer, it's not lifetime at all.
No, it's 4 years. 4 years for Koepka. $100 million for 4 years.
That's not that much money.
$100 million
at
a
all.
year or $100 million total?
$100 million for 4 years.
How did Brooks Koepka only get $100 million?
I have no idea.
Didn't they offer John Rahm, or isn't John Rahm getting paid like $400 million?
Did they offer Tiger 700?
I think so.
These numbers are silly.
Also, I mean,
I
you
just
talk
put
about
Koepka. I don't know how much.
yeah,
John Rahm.
Koepka's contract ends at the end of 2025. But there's also the aspect of, well, there's another $100 million coming to you if you skip out of these majors. Like, to say that, oh, they're just going to leave without Liv having anything to say about it, I think is naive because we know they have endless sums of money.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was off here. Koepka got 130. So the top five, according to the big league, the top five live contracts. John Rahm got $300 million.
Yeah, for 3 years.
For 3 years. PhilMickelson got $200. Koepka 130. Dustin Johnson 125. DeChambeau 125.
I mean, is that so radically different than what he'd get in the PGA with sponsors? Because obviously, if you Liv pulls out of the majors, the sponsorship money the knees get cut out for whoever. I mean, isn't that where they make a huge amount of money as well?
Yes.
TaylorMade and all that crap.
Correct.
So I don't think it's that. That is not enough money to keep them out of the majors. And also, how much money does one human being need in his lifetime? I mean, Brooks Koepka lives in Florida.
You always say that. Unlimited.
Unlimited.
I really think-
Russell Wilson style, unlimited. Thank you, Pat.
I know this is a sports. I think you guys are dead wrong about this. Like,
Wait, here's
to
the
pull
question.
out the majors from these guys, like they do not care.
But hold on, let's stop on the how
Yeah.
much do these guys need? Why do we always ask that question about the athletes and we never ask it about the owners? How much do they need? I mean, the guys who are signing the checks,
I have
we
no
never
idea.
question them. It's like, wow, more hedge fund guys, awesome, good for you.
I mean, if I was a pro athlete, like, I would take $1 at the end of my career and surround myself with superstars to win another title. That's how I would
I don't
take
believe
it.
that.
I totally would. I would. If LeBron should take $1 next year to go to a super team,
You don't, but that lifestyle that you live, it changes when you take $1.
he
It
has
does.
$700 million in the bank. How does that change? I mean,
It changes.
$50 million isn't even.
He's trying to buy a
You
team.
assume
He
these
needs
guys. You
billions.
assume these guys are good with their money. There are guys who are making hundreds of millions of dollars that are living check to check, and I know it
that's
because they've
sad.
said it.
Tom
How
Brady
on
lost
earth
$30
could
million
Bro-
on crypto.
Right.
Needed that $20 million back for the roast.
That's why you had to do the roast.
These guys don't want to give up their yachts. They don't want to give up their private jet lifestyle. These guys don't want to give that stuff up. To think that you could just, okay, I have $100 million in the bank, so now I'm just good. When you have inflation, when you have other costs of living, and again, the cost of living isn't the $2,000 rent I'm paying in Queens. It's totally different. Totally different
You can't
lifestyle.
get by on $100 million.
Brooks Koepka, First of all, everything for golfers, everything's paid for. You have nothing to spend money on. You're given everything in your life. And he lives in Florida and he plays golf he plays golf every weekend. What's he spending? What's he doing?
Have you seen the price of private school? It is insane out there, guys.
There's nothing Brooks Koepka can possibly do to spend his money. There's no way that dude could go broke.
Oh, guys go broke all the time. 855-212-4227. Fair, though. I mean,
Brooks Koepka, they name a top 10 golfer who's gone broke ever in the history of the sport.
John Daly.
PhilMickelson. Give Phil a couple of years.
Well, yeah, I guess a gambling addict.
It goes real fast if you're betting $300,000 on USC, UCLA.
Like Arnie Palmer was like the third highest paid athlete in sports at 68 years old. These guys
John Daly definitely went broke, right?
Yeah,
I mean, okay, you have two,
chocolate addiction,
a massive alcoholic and a gambling addict.
That Hooters money is just doesn't stick around the way.
Brooks Koepka is mildly depressed and is stuck in Florida with possibly overbearing wife. Ooh, I'm getting in trouble here. He is not going to spend this money. He is not missing the Masters. Sorry, that's all I will say.
Depressed. I don't mean to laugh at that. He did come across pretty depressed on that Netflix series. 855-212-4227. But maybe that's what the money's for. Pat, thank you. Coming up, the big what if. This is not a multiverse day, but we got to pause on this NBA player who posed a question we couldn't wrap our brains around enough times. Does that work for a tease? We'll get to that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
Say infinity's mice, he's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC, what a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free, he misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. He's got the road trip blues. Left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio. Can't believe his eyes. But Bogo's stuck at home. His heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall. But it's Bogus left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake. He's got the road trip blues. Left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose.
Andrew Bogut's high on display. Road trip blues won't go away. Left behind.
Bogus waits. He's got the road trip blues. Left behind. bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio, can't believe his eyes. But Bogu stuck at home, his heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall, but it's Bogu's left behind. Feeling 10 feet tall, a loser in his own right. Can't catch a break, road trip, dream shattered. For goodness sake.
45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, mornings here on the Infinity Sports Network. If you ever miss part of the show, download the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. We'd be so appreciative. Okay, this is always fun because we talk about crossover athletes, Perloff. Guys, you're great at one sport. Could you play another sport? You know, a Deion Sanders, a Bo Jackson. Here was Austin Rivers, who was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Rivers hasn't technically retired from the NBA yet. He had a thought on NBA players playing in the NFL.
So I could take 30 players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA.
Okay. I agree with this. I think he's totally right here. I think that it is a lot easier. I'm not saying it's easier, though, for NBA players to go to the NFL than NFL players to go to the NBA.
Okay. Why has it never happened?
I think it could happen. I think it has from college to the pros with the Antonio Gates and the Jimmy Grahams and stuff like that.
But those guys weren't really good enough to make the NBA. They were built for the NFL.
Right.
And if you're built for the NFL, you're probably not built for the NBA.
Well,
I understand. There's definitely no NFL player who can play in the NBA.
No,
I'll give you that.
You wouldn't be able to make enough shots. Like, you have to be way more skilled.
But this idea that LeBron James could just all of a sudden put on a helmet and be a skilled wide receiver tight end is crazy to me. Because,
I think it's perfect. Totally on the spot.
I think the intricacies of playing football you're underrating. There's so many. I watch college and I'm like, that guy is so talented. Then he has no prayer to make it in the NFL. It is so hard to make it in the NFL, especially a receiver. And I guess there are some guys who sneak through at tight end. But, I mean, LeBron James would not be a good NFL player.
Oh, I think he definitely would. If you give him a year, give him 2 years to get developed, because the thing about the NFL is you first have to have the size, right? Unless you're a running back and some sort of scat back or something like that. You've got to have the size. And if you have the right dimensions, like you're telling me Anthony Edwards at 6'4", 225, if he was playing in the NFL, you're going from 225 probably up to 240. You're telling me he couldn't play in the NFL?
What position?
I think he could probably play. Maybe he could play tight end at 6'4". Maybe he could play linebacker. I mean, why not?
Yeah, see, it's because it's mentality, it's toughness. It's just a different gene altogether to play football. I mean, honestly, LeBron would be such a giant target out there. I feel like he'd be cut in half like 3 plays in.
No, because he's
6'9".
6'9" is definitely
dangerous. You have a lot of leg to hit. And also, too, the thing about it, I think you're underestimating the physicality of the NFL in this conversation. Like,
I'm definitely not.
It is
I'm
like,
definitely not.
It's a car crash on every play. So you have to have that mentality. I mean, I was thinking about this all night last night. The fact that Kyle Pitts is not good in the NFL, and he's not so far. Maybe that's system. Like, he is the most perfectly designed tight end I've ever seen, and he's just average in the NFL. And then he's been playing this sport his whole life, knows all the intricacies. There's just something that is just not there, and that's why I think it's never happened. And I don't think it's going to ever happen.
The reason why I think it's not happened where an NBA player goes to play in the NFL is because if you're making that much money with guaranteed contracts in the NBA, why would you ever leave to go to that more physical, brutal sport and not have basically guaranteed contracts? And it just, the incentive's not there. Because the NBA too, unless it's something really weird, fluky that happens, like your brain's going to be intact. Your knees, your ankles, your back are going to be messed up, but your brain is going to be okay. The NFL, you can't say that.
Yeah, oh, totally true.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that you watch the NBA now, it's filled with tall, skinny guys, all 6'7" wing players. Tall and skinny does not work in the NFL. It makes you a huge target. I just think that it's just such a different mentality and so different. That's one of the reasons. We have guys who cross over, like Tony Gonzalez famously, but those guys were not NBA level players because they were built like NFL players.
Right, they were very good college players.
You
but
watch
not
NBA last night; it's a lot of Chet Holmgrens and skinny versions of him, and and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is tall and skinny. If he was in an NFL locker room, he would stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, but see, he's 6'4". He's listed at 6'4", 225. I think that becomes, 6'4", 240. I think guys like, Luka's still a little bit tall, but if Luka ever had like a penchant for this, like the guys who are just a little thicker, it's never going to be like, Chet Holmgren or Wemby. Like that would be silly out there. Yeah. But if you're talking like a dude, even a deeper cut, like a Keontae Johnson or something like that, some of these guys can be built like NFL players.
I watched the combine, and there's a bunch of 6'3" guys who run 4.3s, and guess what? They have no prayer to make it in the NFL. It is not that easy.
855-212-4227. You want to weigh in? Could 30 NBA players go to the NFL tomorrow? Like Austin Rivers said. Coming up, got an update for you on a coaching search. Get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
chat, tuning in where it's at. Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning. Dancing to the beat, feeling so right. The tapes are loud, his speakers blast. He's a Twitch viewer, having a blast. The ball is spinning, the crowd's going wild.
1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I learned something yesterday that I never knew before. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Want to know what I learned, Pearl?
Sure.
I learned yesterday from Brian Windhorst, who's been covering LeBron James since he was literally in high school in Akron, Ohio. I learned from Brian Windhorst yesterday on your former show, Dan Patrick's show, that LeBron James has never once tried to influence the hiring of one of his NBA head coaches.
What?
And I thought, that can't be right. That sounds silly because he's certainly been involved in the firing of a lot of his NBA head coaches. So why wouldn't LeBron ever be involved in the hiring? But again, I really would like to trust the reporting of someone like Brian Windhorst, who's been a part of LeBron James's orbit since he was a teenager. So let's just take that as gospel. Let's say LeBron James has never really been involved in the hiring of a head coach, and he's not going to be involved in the hiring of the Lakers head coach. We still have to figure out what LeBron's future plans are. He's got a player option. Everything's on the table right now for James. If he's never been involved in the hiring of a head coach, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And it's short-sighted, and also maybe he has more rings if he actually is involved in finding a head coach.
Oh, my God.
That's like ignoring the biggest elephant in the room, that he has to get along with the head coach. Why wouldn't he be involved in the process on the front end?
Because players are the worst GMs in the planet. Like, that's the last thing you want your player to do.
It's never stopped him from being the GM. Who do you think brought Russell Westbrook aboard?
Apparently he's not the GM, because the main thing the GM does is hire the coach. And actually, if that is true, which I don't 100% believe, if that is true, that is the smartest thing LeBron ever did, is to stay out of that. Because LeBron, any player would make the wrong decision on a coach. Players are the last people who should be picking coaches, because they would obviously pick the guy they like, not the best person to coach them.
Okay, let's hear from Windhorst. This was him yesterday on Dan Patrick's show about LeBron does not get involved in coaching hires.
He's always taken a distance. In fact, and I can't say this for every candidate, but he generally has a rule, okay, that he won't engage with the candidate. After the coach has been hired, of course, he'll have a conversation with the coach. Generally, he wants to stay out of it. He doesn't want it on his hands. I know there's this belief that LeBron hires and fires all these coaches.
Yeah, there's definitely a belief that he fires coaches. And I think that even people understand a little bit because this is the influence he has. Like, why not get your involved in the coaching hire, yet you're definitely involved in the player acquisition side? I mean, he's certainly involved. He's holding meetings at his house, Perloff, deciding between DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook. Like, you are playing GM.
Right.
So
well,
now all of a sudden to say, like, oh, I'm not going to have anything to do with the coaching hire. What if he had actually attached himself to a coach early in his career that he got, was simpatico with, or, Michael to Phil, Kobe to Phil? What if he actually had somebody with him? Maybe he has more rings than 4.
Okay, I don't remember exactly. I know that Michael got Doug Collins fired, but I don't remember Michael being like, oh, this is Phil Jackson. Like, he didn't choose Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was an assistant there, right? I don't know. I feel like this is this is pie in the sky that players can pick this coach. And Phil just happened to be like, Kobe didn't choose Phil. Like, he just got there.
Okay, but that also was a little bit of luck involved, right? They ended up having this great marriage. If Phil had not worked out, wouldn't have been insane to you to think Michael Jordan's on our team. We need to move on from a head coach. We're not going to involve him at all in the coaching search. He's the most important person to the team, to the city, to the league.
I don't know if this has ever happened, though, where there's a player who's picked a coach. I just watched that show about the Lakers. I remember that Magic Johnson got Paul Westhead fired, but I don't remember him being like, you got to get my guy Pat Riley in there. That was not part of the conversation. It just happened to promote an assistant, and he got the interim job, then he got the full-time job. Name me the coach. There's no player who can pick the perfect coach. And LeBron, there was never a point where LeBron was going to make a choice of a coach and say, this is the guy who's going to win me 8 rings. It's just first of all, there's not that coach out there. And second of all, like, LeBron wasn't going to be able to find him.
Okay, well, this is flawed, though. I'm talking about in the process.
Right.
Because if you're talking about somebody, especially a sport like the NBA, where the superstars have this outsized influence, right? They are the team.
I agree.
They're the team and they're the league. And LeBron is even a cut above that, right? Where he's even a star amongst stars.
Sure.
The league's on his shoulders. To not have him involved in the coaching search when ultimately his stamp of approval or disapproval is going to determine the future of that coach. You don't want to get to know this guy a little before before the hiring process? Maybe we could have not wasted our time with Darvin Ham. Maybe you're not wasting your time with, bringing back a Mike Brown or all these other guys who LeBron's played for that he didn't want to play for anymore.
But he would have wanted to play with Darvin Ham if they'd won. So I think you're looking back on it. Like, when Darvin Ham was fired, did anybody say, hired, sorry. Did anyone say, I'm worried about it. Was LeBron going to get along with this guy? Everybody seemed to like that hire at the time.
Well, I assumed that LeBron signed off on Darvin Ham. That's
why
why I'm saying I learned something yesterday.
Didn't work.
No, that's what I'm saying. I learned something yesterday. I learned yesterday from Brian Windhorst on your former show, Dan Patrick Show, that LeBron does not get involved in coaching hires. And I think it's so silly because LeBron is definitely one who's calling out Darvin, whether it's behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. He's calling out Darvin Ham's rotations. I mean, you're calling out the coach, and you essentially are. If LeBron James wanted Darvin Ham to stay, don't you think he'd still be the head coach of the Lakers? The Lakers are telling you they'll draft Bronny, who's averaging 4 points a game. They'll do anything to appease LeBron.
Okay.
Of course he should be involved in the coaching search on the front end.
So let's talk about what could happen this offseason. If LeBron gets to choose the coach, who do you think he's choosing?
I think he would love Ty Lue.
Tell me who the coach is.
Not JJ Redick.
Ty Lue's not coming.
JJ Redick.
Not
JJ Redick. Well, that's what would happen.
I don't think so. I think I got to give LeBron a little bit more credit here on that.
Why?
Because I don't think he would hire JJ Redick.
You just said that he chose Russell Westbrook over DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah,
I don't know why you're giving
I
LeBron
know.
credit. Why would a player be able to choose the right coach? Give me an example where that's ever happened. If this is true, this is actually a credit to LeBron that he was not meddling where he shouldn't. Because players, you can't get us. You obviously you are going to be too biased to pick the right coach.
But he already meddles. Like, if he was like hands off on player acquisition too and all that stuff, I'd be like, wow, LeBron really just wants to be a player, not a GM. They call him Le GM, and it's a pejorative. He already gets involved.
Yeah. So
it's silly to me.
Let me ask you this question: do you want LeBron to make the choice of the Lakers' next hire?
Sure. You want to know why? Because the Lakers can't get it right anyway.
So
you might as well have LeBron. They couldn't get it right with Darvin Ham. I mean, you could say Frank Vogel, but then they fired him. And who do you think signed off on that?
I think
LeBron.
I think you're overestimating the impact of the coach on the Lakers anyway. First of all,
maybe
you have LeBron James, who's 100, and you have Anthony Davis, who's 30, and you have a bunch of old guys. This is not the most crucial thing. They don't need Steve Kerr to come in and replace Mark Jackson. I mean, what's a coach even going to do here? I think LeBron James on the court.
I think you guys are missing one key element about this because there's always the conversation about LeBron versus MJ. And what is the one thing that MJ has that LeBron does not? Is that Michael had to win all of his titles with one coach, Phil Jackson. I think LeBron kind of likes this resume he's put together. He's won titles with Spoelstra. He's won titles with Frank Vogel. He's won titles with Tyronn Lue. He's won titles with. I think LeBron thinks he can kind of play with anybody. I think to Perloff's point, I think he realized once coach gets hired, at the end of the day, it's my team anyway. So it doesn't really matter because they hired David Blatt in Cleveland, and Blatt wouldn't do all this European offensive stuff. And LeBron said, "Get that stuff out of here and get him out of here." He was gone. So, like, it doesn't really matter who the coach is. LeBron's the system, and he's still been able to win. Michael has never won without the triangle and Phil Jackson. I think that's a positive mark on his ledger. I think he likes that.
I have a hard reality here. If Phil Jackson had left in 1990 to go to Ashram, Michael Jordan wins 6 rings in 8 years. Phil Jackson was close to irrelevant.
I don't agree with that.
Triangle, first of all, the triangle was all fiction. Like, triangle's great until there's 4 minutes left in the game when Michael Jordan just beats everybody one-on-one. I do not buy any of that crap. They did not need Phil Jackson to win those titles.
They needed Phil. I disagree with that.
I mean, I think that I think Phil should get a little bit of credit for handling some of the egos, keeping everyone in check. I do think that the coach does get a little bit of credit for that, but I think Scottie Pippen should get a lot of credit here, and you don't like to give Scottie a lot of credit. And that was, I thought, one of the biggest differences in Michael winning and not winning. But here's the thing about, if we bring it back to LeBron, does he like it this way, where he never really played with under an all-time great coach, and so he doesn't have to share the credit? I would argue that LeBron would probably be better off if he did have an all-time great coach. Even if he did have to share the credit, he might have 6 rings.
Well, he did leave Spoelstra. Spoelstra's a Hall of Fame coach.
That's true.
So he did. That's the only real Hall of Fame level coach he's had, right?
He's had, but Spo was not a Hall of Fame coach when he got there. And remember, he tried to get Spoelstra fired. That was one of the most famous things about the story about LeBron in Miami. And in fact, that's the one time where you could say he did pick a coach. He tried to pick Pat Riley, and Pat Riley said, "Get the hell out of my office."
Yeah, right. And he said, "You're not going to do it." But again, that's like to my point. If you're going to be the guy who 6 weeks, 6 months after starting to play for somebody is going to go into the GM's office and say, "I want this guy fired anyway," then why not have him be sitting in on the hiring process?
Because he's LeBron James. He'd hire JJ Redick now and fire him at the All-Star break and not think twice about it. Because he's LeBron. He's follow him on Twitter. The guy goes back and forth and up and down and lies and everything. Like, he would hire a coach and fire him quicker than anybody.
Guys,
and you know LeBron would do that.
Let's not also pretend LeBron doesn't even like JJ Redick. I mean, you can see in that podcast, they don't. He's not.
He's not doing that podcast if he doesn't like him.
Well, did JJ get an interview with the Lakers?
Well, not yet. He got an interview with Charlotte.
He's expected to be a candidate for the job.
Yeah,
I think he's going to get it. If it's not Bud, JJ's getting this job. You cannot tell me that if it's Kenny Atkinson or JJ Redick, the guy he's been sipping wine and doing podcasts with, he's going to take Kenny Atkinson, who I think is a really good coach. Yeah. And I think got a raw deal in Brooklyn. He's been a great assistant coach for a long time. But
that was a place where they let the players pick the coach.
Right.
And they picked Steve Nash, and that was not a good thing. But here's the thing. I understood why they did it. I understood because Kevin Durant made every decision for that Brooklyn Nets franchise anyway. So don't saddle him with Kenny Atkinson if he doesn't want to play for the guy. Same thing with LeBron James.
Well, here's the thing, though. Kenny Atkinson's is Frank Vogel 2.0. Like, is that really, what's the difference between Kenny Atkinson, Mike Budenholzer? It's not like there's no all-time coach out there for him. Maybe J.J. Redick is the reincarnation of Steve Kerr, a guy who went to the TV booth and become a great coach.
He's not.
Pete's not.
But how did you know Steve
Redick.
Kerr was going to be this great? I don't know. The other thing, when they hired Darvin Ham, what Blatt was like, it's not like LeBron has turned down these great coaches. I'm not sure who are the great coaches right now. It's Kerr, Spoelstra,
Popovich.
And like he never matched up with Popovich. That would have been interesting, but that never quite happened. Yeah, I mean, maybe he could have gone to San Antonio. By the way, are we sure LeBron's staying in LA? Is that where we're at now?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
It feels pretty certain.
Well, here's a question: who's the coach if LeBron's not there?
Well, it's like
it's
like when Byron Scott went to. Where did Byron Scott go? Cleveland?
Yeah.
He took the Cleveland job thinking he might get LeBron, and then he was like stuck with that terrible team.
It's like, can we offer you a poo-poo platter of Anthony Bennett? And
can you imagine taking this? JJ Redick gets hired. He's like, okay, somebody's missing here at practice. Anyone know where LeBron is? He's in Atlanta,
he's
coach.
in Dallas, playing with Luka. 855-212-4227. We're talking about LeBron. Learned yesterday he does not get involved in coaching hires. I think that's silly. He's definitely involved in the coaching firings, so might as well have him involved in the hiring. Patrick is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, wants to talk about a quote from Austin Rivers, who he said 30 guys from the NBA could go play in the NFL. Patrick, what do you think?
Look, so I love the show. I listen to you guys every single morning on my way to work. Maggie and Perloff is like my Bible in the morning. But with
we are
that being
religion.
said, I think, trust me, believe it. I'm all for it. But check this out. I think and I'm not sure. I kind of jumped in late on the conversation, so I wasn't really tuned in on which side who was on. But the thing is, I don't think an NBA player could, make a significant impact in the NFL, and vice versa. I don't think an NFL player could do that in the NBA. When you think about the guys that have crossed over in high school and college, you got to exclude like the Deion Sanders of the world and the Bo Jacksons, those, top tier elite one-of-one athletes. Look at a clip of Draymond Green, the quintessential tough guy, gritty, nasty, physical. Like, there's a clip of him at Michigan State in like a spring practice playing tight end, getting absolutely embarrassed. And 6'8", 255, 260, whatever he checks in at, that guy should be, the second coming of like Michael Strahan. But no, he's not. It doesn't translate.
Yeah.
And vice versa, you can't take an NFL player like let's say a big, strong, physical guy like an AJ Green, and then not AJ Green, AJ Brown. DK Metcalf. Those guys take their shirts off, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what Greek guys look like.
Yeah.
And you put them in the NBA, they don't have the same skill set, the same attention to detail when it comes to that specific.
Well, Patrick, you're right. I mean, they're not going to have the shooting prowess, right? And
but are you going to ask AJ Green to? I keep saying his name.
That's right.
He'd be a great
AJ Green might be good too.
Metcalf or
they can dunk. I bet.
Insert your tall, flanky guy. Those guys are 6'3" and 6'4". They would have to play guard in the NBA. You're not playing 6'4", 6'5", power forwards in today's NBA. Yeah, we're playing small ball, but at the same time, you got to be able to stretch the floor. You got to be able to guard the Jokic's and the Giannis's of the world, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
and
Patrick, I think you're right on one way of this, and the Draymond Green example is a good one, and clearly if you're listening to our show every morning, you have phenomenal taste. Impeccable. So thank you so much for riding with us, and appreciate the call. The Draymond thing is interesting. Draymond at a Michigan State spring practice. I've never seen this video before, but the other thing about Draymond is you would think he could translate to the NFL also because he has good hands, right? Like if he was going to be a receiver or something, or maybe he'd have hands in the dirt. I don't know. The NFL players going to the NBA. I agree with Patrick 100%. That's impossible to do.
Well, not impossible. I mean, obviously Charlie Ward played a 10-year NBA, and he would have been a great NFL quarterback. It's just they didn't draft short quarterbacks or mobile quarterbacks back then. So it has, obviously there are crossovers. There are examples
like
of
Julius Peppers and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're good. College. Yeah, see, a guy like, that's why the translation is tough. Julius Peppers was not built. He was built to be an okay college player, but he wasn't built for the NBA because you have to be tall and long and thin in the NBA, and that is not good in the NFL. You do not want tall and thin in the NFL. It rarely works. In fact, there's never been a quarterback over 6'8" who is any good at all. It's just a different skill set because I think the subtleties of the NFL, you have to love contact. And we don't know. Maybe LeBron could be good, but I have a feeling LeBron, he might be like, whoa, this is not exactly what I thought it was. Everyone thinks he'd be this great receiver. You have to be very, very physical in a way different way than the NBA.
855-212-4227. So I got a couple things there on the table for you. Do you agree with Perloff, Patrick, and Harrisburg? Others don't see the crossovers. NBA players could not go play in the NFL, something that Austin Rivers said on the Pat McAfee show.
I was watching last night, Lou Dort.
Yeah, I was thinking about Lou Dort.
But he came up in, is he Canadian? He's another Canadian guy who didn't grow up with football. You got to grow up with football, too, for the most part. I mean, it's very rare. Antonio Gates did not play college football, but he knew how to play football. I don't see it. And it's never happened. You know who's done it? Bud Grant.
The old coach?
Yes, I think he is one of the few people. I was looking this up. Bud Grant and Otto Graham are two players. Now, I have to double check this. I could have been completely misled by Reddit.
Here,
could have been completely misled by Reddit. I mean, Charlie Ward would have been a real candidate.
Well,
he could have done it.
I also I'm going to disagree with you now that you needed to have football in your culture to be good at football. Look at this international program. Look what we just saw. All guys coming from, African nations, guys who are coming from New Zealand and Australia, Jordan Mailatas and these guys.
But Jordan Mailata, who's the other Jordan Mailata?
There's the Bills drafted some dude from the UK. All these,
all these. There's one good international
Lions,
player in the entire NFL. But go ahead.
No, the Lions. I mean, they drafted an
You're naming
international
teams.
guy.
Who are the players?
We're gonna find out how good these guys are. They're like 5th
There are
and 6th
a bunch of
picks.
punters, and there's Jordan Mailata.
No, there's a lot of dudes. I think that this international
Name
program.
two.
I just will.
You said
get
the
to it in a
Lions. You
second.
literally just said the Detroit Lions. That's a team.
That guy that the Lions took, that everyone was really excited about.
Okay, so Bud Grant, after college, he played in the NBA for the Minneapolis Lakers. Then he left the NBA to play for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, then settled in Winnipeg for the Blue Bombers in the CFL. There you go. Bud Grant, Hall of Famer. He could prove that NFL guys can make it in the NBA.
Yeah. Also, maybe one of the toughest people ever.
Yeah, it was 1948, too.
212-4227. As the firemen and plumbers.
By the way, those names, Travis Clayton and Byron Matos.
Thank you.
Oh, right.
Buy the jersey.
Names. Wait, the household names. Yeah, there you go. It's basically the NBA now, the NFL, because of Travis, Clayton
all
Tune.
International dudes. All international. Just get ready, everyone. 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, we have a questionable decision that's being made in the NBA and could change the balance of power in the playoffs. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Don't move. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He's on the chat, tuning in where it's at. Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning, dancing to the beat, feeling so right. Takes our line, the speakers blast. It's a Twitch viewer.
Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining.
He's on the chat, tuning in where it's at, Infinity Sports. Glorious glad. He's on the chat, tuning in where it's at, Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning. Dancing to the beat, feeling so right. The takes are loud, his speakers blast. He's a Twitch viewer, having a blast. Above his spin and the crowd's going wild. Glorious man, just feeling so alive. Radio
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Interesting debate, courtesy of Austin Rivers, saying that 30 NBA players could play in the NFL right now. A lot of people, including myself, J.J. Watt, real footballers were upset at this statement. It is so tough and physical in the NFL. 30 players, maybe one or two, maybe. But the other 28 would get murdered in week one. It's not happening. First of all, it never is happening because you had a good point. No one's leaving the cushy NBA with all that money to come get hit in the NFL.
Concussions in the NFL.
No, thank you. But also, I just think the skill set, the subtleties of the NFL and football, we're underrating here to say that could happen because there's no way 30 NBA players are coming to the NFL.
Okay, but what if I gave you 30 NBA players and they get like 2 years to train? And it's not dudes who are at their end of their career like Draymond now or something who's like 35. But say I'm giving you dudes in their prime. Say I'm giving you Anthony Edwards, 6'4", 225.
Right.
Say I give you him 2 years to get ready, toughen up. I mean, he played high school football, but get tough, learn some of the the intricacies, not just get thrown out there like week 7, like, oh my gosh, we need you to play against the Chargers today. What if I gave you 2 years to prep?
No way. DK Metcalf, 6'4", built like a god, incredibly productive college player. That guy fell in almost a third round. Like, honestly, you have to be so good to make. You're assuming he's a wide receiver or a tight end, I think, because you're not putting Anthony Edwards at defensive end. First of all, because that mentality, you're born with that.
But you can be an off-ball linebacker at 6'4", 225. You'd have to go up to like 240. That's Bart Scott.
The key to being off, yes, Bart Scott has this killer instinct on the football field that you cannot just teach in 2 years. And also tons and tons and tons of man hours that went into Bart Scott.
Well, that's true.
To play the subtleties of that position and to learn the leverage and tackling. You have no idea if Anthony Edwards has that. And I'm just saying, there are great, great, great athletes in college football who have no chance of making the NFL. You're telling me you're just going to bring a guy from another sport out of the blue and train him in 2 years? Like, where are you going to train him?
You have pro conditioning. You've now been exposed to being a professional athlete, what that lifestyle is like. Listen, if you don't want to get hit, I can't teach you that. But this would obviously be guys who do want to try this like experiment. Like, you'd have to think you're a tough guy.
You could try, but go over the middle twice and then try the third time.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Jay's in San Diego. Good morning, Jay.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
So I'm literally just driving home, and I just cut my, the sports radio on, and I hear you guys, and I hear this debate, and I literally had this, not even an hour ago, this huge blow with like a bunch of people at work, and I work at a casino, so we get a little downtime when it's slow. Anyways, we are talking about it, and my thing is like, I went to the translation of, crossing over between sports and everything, and I ran track professionally for a while, and I run a 4.3340, when I was in my prime. That doesn't mean I was the best wide receiver. I played DB for a reason because of intricacies moving through football and, and stuff like that. So to say that 30 NBA players can go to basketball or 30 NBA players can go to NFL is, and everybody goes to Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez and even, Terrell Owens, who played. Those guys sucked in college at basketball. Like, not sucked, but they were riding pine like that was, like the thing to do.
Gates was good. Antonio Gates was awesome in college. Look at his numbers. He was at Kent State. I mean, he wasn't in North Carolina.
So you can make exactly. Hold on. Now look where he went though.
Yeah.
Not to discredit him playing or anything like that, but it's just the aspect of now you're moving to like you said earlier when I started listening. You said Bo Jackson, and of course there's some freaks of nature that are next level athletes. But if you of those 30, I might give you 2 1/4. One guy might have a good game. He might have a good 3-4 games, but now we got tape on you. You're getting smacked because like you said, go across the middle. He doesn't like to go across the middle. We're going to force him inside every time.
Okay, but
we're going to jam him.
Jay, you're totally right about this. I just think that you couldn't just pluck 30 random NBA guys to do this experiment because, and Jay, thank you for the call. I don't want to go over the middle either. That's why I'm sitting here. Because you'd have to have guys who really consider themselves tough guys.
Yeah, given he's like Draymond.
Like LeBron, like Draymond, like
LeBron,
some of these guys.
Oh my God. LeBron is a tough guy. LeBron flops if somebody breathes in his general direction.
That's now.
That's always been.
Well, in his prime, LeBron was a physical specimen. He still is a physical specimen. I mean.
Yeah, he's a big target coming across that middle. You don't see a lot of 6'9" tight ends. I mean, Mo Alley Cox is the one who was a former basketball player.
In the chat, I believe it was Daly said T.O. and Randy Moss could have played in the NBA. So I think that's the way harder switch.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Ward could have done both. He was a Bo Jackson type. He's kind of forgotten by history. So maybe the other thing, too, is like these NFL guys have been spending a lot of time playing NFL football. Maybe if they'd grown up playing basketball, their careers go a little differently.
Let's go to Timothy. He's in Michigan. Hey, Timothy.
Hey, I thought of the two guys, Antonio Gates and Julius Peppers were the two that immediately came to my mind. But then I got to thinking the skills that you need to translate from the NBA to the NFL. And like Gates was tight end. You can't have stone hands and play in the NBA. I mean, you've got to be able to catch the ball on the run, throw it on the run. And so you need soft hands. So whether there's 30, you know what? I would think that there's a dozen guys in the NBA that could move to the NFL. But 30,
Timothy, I think
so much.
At least in the NFL, and thank you for the phone call and the thought, there are positions that never touch the football. So, there are skill sets that you can have where just being big and physical and tough or having good feet or whatever, like if on the defensive side of the ball, and some even offensive positions, if you're, fullback or something, you just block for somebody. I know that's not really an NBA body type, but I'm just saying you don't have to be catching the ball with soft hands. It doesn't always have to be about your hands.
Right, but fullback's a marginal position anyway. You're going to be at league minimum. But I just think that there's so many subtleties. Like you can't just say this guy, and I know we did this with DJ Burns, the NC State big man. You can't just say this guy is built like a left tackle. He's going to be an NFL left tackle. It's really, really hard. And even NFL teams, just came through the draft. It's a complete mystery who's going to make it. They have no idea. There's just some hidden, I think, more subtle ingredient than people are giving credit for. And by the way, you're saying all these guys are going to be a great tight ends, which cracks me up. Brock Bowers is the opposite of an NBA player, and he's probably the best tight end to come in the league in years. He's going to be amazing. So it's Sam Laporta. Like, how do you know? Whatever. I can't believe I'm getting so mad about this, but it does make me mad. I feel like I'm defending the NFL. Like, it's just not that easy to play NFL football.
No, we know it's not easy, but I do think there is more of a translated skill set. Our pal Nick in Texas is in the chat. Good morning, Nick. Says, if you've seen Maggie run the 40, you know she's not going through the middle.
No.
Jeez, Nick.
A little harsh.
Well, Daly said me and Forrest Gump, same running style. Not wrong. Straight up. I have terrible posture except when I'm running the 40. Then my back is as straight as an arrow.
Hey, let me ask you about one guy. Allen Iverson. He was a famous football player.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
He was great.
He was great. But as I recall, like he wasn't even close to being like an NFL football player.
Could he have been like Boston Scott or something like that?
My question, he was so good a basketball player. Would he have gotten a D1 author to a major school and then made it at safety?
Definitely. He was all-state in Virginia. That's
but so what? There's a million all-state guys every year.
Virginia football is serious.
Wait, what was AI? 6'1", 200? What was
about
he?
6 foot. Well, in high school, he's probably about no taller than 6 foot, and probably about 180.
Yeah,
170.
Not to name drop, I've stood next to Allen Iverson. I feel like I don't even know if he was 6 foot.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's a long trip to get from there to the NFL. It's just a long journey. I mean, there's so many great all-state players. There's so many 5-star recruits who don't even hit in college football. Then there's college football stars who don't hit in the NFL. I just think it's just a lot to say, oh, that guy's a super athlete. He's going to translate.
I think it'd be easier to go from the NBA to the NFL than what Michael Jordan tried to do with Deion, Bo Jackson. I mean, I'd rather go from the NFL to the NBA, the NBA to the NFL, not to baseball. Baseball's impossible.
Well, I mean, we've seen a couple of guys do it.
Right,
Brian
Bo.
Jordan, Deion. I'll tell you, if you want to see how hard baseball is, watch CJ Stroud throw out the first ball. I mentioned it the other day on the show. Now it's kind of going viral. That dude cannot throw a baseball to save his life. Pat Boyle's here. You're a former baseball player. Watch this CJ Stroud. Is it a totally different skill set to be a quarterback and a baseball player?
Russell Wilson, got like a tryout with the Yankees.
Some guys have done it for sure, but
Danny Cannell, guys like that.
It's just crazy to me that he's an elite. He's one of the best players on the planet at throwing a football, and he has no idea how to throw a baseball.
It's not
that dissimilar.
Home. Like, let's not pretend like he 50 Cent at this thing and bounced it.
Come on,
he looked like me throwing left-handed.
Yeah, I was about to say, he looks like most of us how we throw with the other hand.
It was really weird.
It's not that dissimilar of a throwing motion. It's here, and all you do instead with baseball is here.
It's great for radio.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody can see
visual.
what I did. Nobody can see what I did. It's just, the wrist is
here
turned.
To here,
That's
guys.
it.
Here to here.
In case you didn't hear, he said he throw from here to there.
Thank you, Thank you, Pete.
But by the way, there are a ton of NFL, MLB cross. A ton of guys have been drafted by both leagues. NBA is different, but you have to be 6'8" to make it a league.
By the
That's
way,
a big difference.
Allen Iverson, he claimed this with your friend Dan Patrick that he before he got arrested and had all the trouble that he was considering going to play both basketball and football at Notre Dame in Maryland. So that's pretty good. I mean, obviously.
Pat Boyle's here. You guys can keep it coming with your thoughts. 855-212-4227. Is Austin Rivers right? He said this yesterday on Pat McAfee's show that 30 players could go from the NBA to the NFL. Pat, what do you got for us, pal?
I got one MVP finalist showing up last night, and another did not. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. The Thunder's defense getting it done with a 17-2 fourth quarter run. OKC takes game one over the Mavs, 117-95. Luka Doncic with just 19 points on 6 of 19 shooting. He became the latest victim of the torture chamber. Lou Dort guarded him on the perimeter for most of the night, with Chet Holmgren making life difficult whenever Doncic went to drive to the rim. Here's Luka when asked about his rough night.
Who cares? We lost, man. We just got to move on to the next one. I got to be better. We got to be better.
Okay. Who cares? And we got to be better. Kyrie added 20. Pretty sad. Pretty sad, though, for Dallas, because they should have an advantage in the paint against OKC, but unfortunately, Daniel Gafford is their big.
He's good on defense. I keep hearing about how the Mavs went out and got great defensive front court players.
Derek Lively is going to be the future of that paint. He's just too young at this point. Gafford, by the way, to his credit, double-double, 16 and 11. But imagine if they had a fringe all-star center. They'd win the title.
They can't figure out what to put her on Luka.
How about Joel Embiid? Not that it's easy to get him, but I feel like that is
He's just so hurt.
That's the problem. It's like, how do you get him? But
yeah, I mean, that seems to be the kind of match.
Do you want Kyrie, Perloff?
Do I want Kyrie?
Yeah.
In Philadelphia?
Philly?
Yeah. I mean, that's how you get him.
Again, age and injury, too. Gotcha. I mean, he hardly ever gets a season. How about Anthony Davis pries loose from L.A. and goes to Dallas?
You could do that. I was thinking, I know that doesn't have the size of those guys, but if you did a LeBron James, Draymond Green combo platter.
Yeah. Oh, how about Giannis and Jason Kidd? They just resigned. I can't remember. Is Giannis friends with Jason Kidd or not friends with Jason Kidd?
I think he likes him. Jason Kidd did get fired.
Yeah,
from
did Giannis get him fired?
No,
yeah.
Giannis, I think, stood up for him, at least publicly, but who knows?
Maybe Giannis. How about that? Luka and Giannis?
Well, Giannis. I mean, that's
These
a cheat
teams
code.
They don't have the assets to get Giannis.
Yeah, I agree with EJ.
I'm in that mindset where if you take a bunch of NBA stars, all rules are out the window.
Honestly.
You can combine them ever you want. At least
like Voltron, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's like you mentioned the assets, and you're right about that, but what does it matter? If Giannis is like, I want to go to Dallas, do something to make it happen.
It matters now because Donovan Mitchell didn't go where he wanted. Dame Lillard didn't go where he wanted.
KD did.
Well, he had to do waste basically half a season on the Nets, and their season went into the tube because Kyrie was going crazy, and that's the only reason he got out of Brooklyn. I mean, it's that those days I think are changed. These days when an NBA player can be on a team and say, "Take me to that place," I think it's very hard to do unless that place has the assets. The Phoenix Suns actually had the assets to get a Kevin Durant. I think that's why that was a little different.
Yeah.
But otherwise, these GMs aren't just sending guys where they want to go.
It wasn't that long ago, though, that we got Harden, got to go from Houston right to Brooklyn.
He didn't want to go to Brooklyn. He wanted to go to Philly. People forget that. KD had to convince him, hey, forget about Philly, come to Brooklyn. And then James Harden got upset. He
eventually got to Philly, which is exactly where he wanted to go. I'm just saying that's not ancient history. It wasn't so long ago.
I think we're all trying to forget all of that, though.
Yeah. The James Harden East Coast, Northeast quarter two-step, that was very forgettable.
Dallas, they don't have a 2027 first rounder. They would have to give up their own for 2025, 2026, and they don't have a 2028 first rounder either. They don't have no chance.
They're
One
stuck.
incentive does Milwaukee have to give him up for anything less than
It would just Giannis would have to make it so messy.
Yeah. Earlier in the night, another former MVP finalist had a rough night. That was Jason Tatum. Plus, the Celtics were missing Kristaps Porzingis with his calf injury, so Cleveland gave him a challenge, right? Nope. 120-95, the final. It's not fair watching anybody play Boston at this point. Jaylen Brown dropped 32 points. Derek White added 25. They held the Cavs to 11 of 42 from behind the arc. So Cleveland got the message, right? You have to shoot 43s, but unfortunately you have to make them. Nobody outside of Donovan Mitchell could hit a shot when they needed it. He had 33. Earlier in the night, Rudy Gobert was named Defensive Player of the Year for a record-tying fourth time. Tonight, we find out who is the MVP at 7:30 Eastern. Sportsbooks think Nikola Jokic is about to win it for the third time in 4 years. SGA and Luka, the other aforementioned finalists. If Jokic wins, fourth straight year, a center wins MVP. Before Joker and Embiid had won the last three, we hadn't had a five win the award since Tim Duncan in 2003.
Right. Also, no Americans are winning the award, too. That's been a big narrative. That being said, again, I love when the MVP has terrible timing where they named the MVP.
Timing.
This hey, Dirk, you're the MVP. Too bad you just lost in the first round.
To the Warriors, yeah. This is going to be bad timing, too, because what's that, tomorrow you said, or tonight?
Tonight we find out, and they also play tomorrow.
They play
Knicks are the only game tonight.
Yeah, they play Friday, right? I thought the Nuggets, don't they have an extra day? Am I wrong?
I think that would be an extra day. By the way, Derek White, the superstar that nobody asked for in the NBA, nobody notices in the NBA. Maggie and I had a big discussion. Does anyone know where Derek White went to college? Is there any casual NBA fan? I just had to Google it.
Where did Derek White go? Wait,
He's
can I get a hint?
It's tough to tell because you have to remember him with hair and with not a receding hairline that went back to the half of the top
It's
of his
Colorado,
head.
right?
Yeah.
It was Colorado.
I mean,
I don't
which
remember that.
it's so funny because Colorado obviously not a well-known basketball program.
Him and Chauncey.
Yeah, it's just you mentioned the Celtics, it's like, oh, Derek White will just kill you on a given night. That is a tough team.
And it's Friday, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it is Friday.
Okay.
I was just going to say that.
Right. So the timing, it's bad. I guess it could be worse.
So did they get? So that's 3 days.
They get an extra day, which
the
is good for
rare
Murray.
3 days.
Oh, okay. So the normal is 2 days when you switch cities. It's an extra day. Why?
I think they want a doubleheader on Friday night.
Which is notoriously the worst TV night for ratings.
I don't know why, but yeah, I think that's the reasoning.
But this is big because if Murray, I know it's a calf and those are tricky and you're never sure, but the fact that he did not get suspended, which I know you're going to talk about, Pat, I mean, he now gets 3 days to heal.
Yeah, keeps the series alive.
Maybe.
Yeah, but KCP is hurt and Reggie Jackson limped off the floor. I think they get swept.
Man, if they do, that's going to be bad for
I think
your
Minnesota's
friend Maggie.
just that damn good.
Yeah.
That's true.
And maybe we feel a little bit more respect for Phoenix now for getting swept. If the Nuggets get swept, they're losing 5.
And a little less respect for the Lakers.
No suspension, as you mentioned, Maggie, for Jamal Murray for throwing a heat pack in the direction of a referee in the middle of a play back on Monday in Minnesota's Game 2 rout. He does get a $100,000 fine, though. Could you guess which NBA player didn't believe Murray should have been suspended?
Mr. Suspension himself.
That is correct.
Draymond.
I was just online, and I see people are like, oh, Jamal Murray's probably going to get suspended for throwing the heat pack. I mean, I didn't think he'd get suspended, although that was very dangerous. Somebody step on that A, it leaves a west by B, can really jack somebody up.
So,
yeah, so he's basically saying that what he did was reckless, but don't suspend him because, of course, Draymond has to take that stance.
Yes, he wants to set the precedent so that next year when the Warriors are once again in the play-in tournament, he can throw something at a referee or player.
Yeah,
and
right.
Get suspended.
I blame the
box of
officials.
popcorn.
I totally blame the officials. Do you know how bad you have to be to make somebody from Canada that mad? That is an incredible. And Jamal Murray, have you ever heard him say something that's not the nicest thing ever?
No.
Jamal Murray is not a complainer.
I think Draymond's a clown. I think these were clownish answers given pot, meat, kettle, I guess, here. But I think you raised an interesting question. Is it fair for us to, seek suspensions? Is that anti-fan? Because that was one of the takes he kind of had, was why are you guys sitting around, seeking a suspension?
No.
Don't you want to see these guys play?
This is all we want as fans, I think, is just a little freaking consistency. Just a little. Where if you're going to do something, one of the great what ifs of all time in sports is what if, Amari Stoudemire doesn't get off the bench in a Western Conference final, and those led to suspensions. So, we've seen We've seen suspensions that have been egregious, and the fact this guy threw something on the court and Draymond saying it is dangerous, someone could turn an ankle, and there's nothing there. Just give us a little consistency.
I agree.
Really quickly, we'll go more in depth on some of these hockey games last night because we had two great ones. But the Avalanche come back from down 3-0 in the first period. Miles Wood wins it in OT. Avalanche take game 1 4-3, and then double OT at the Garden last night. Vincent Trocheck ends it against his former team. Rangers win 4-3 in double overtime. And more on the Rashee Rice investigation next hour for you guys. I know you mentioned it already, but
yeah, perfect. We'll take the details on that next hour. Thank you so much to Pat Boyle. Coming up, someone who belongs in the GOAT conversation. Do we agree? Do we disagree? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Perloff on this fine Wednesday morning. Got the great debate coming for you at the top of the hour. Here's one. Shaquille O'Neal on his own podcast, The Big Podcast, talking about the late Kobe Bryant and how he deserves to be in the GOAT conversation.
Only thing I don't like about the conversation is they don't put my boy's name in it. If you're going to be throwing names around, you got to have my boy's name in it. That's like saying, what are the best luxury cars out there, Lexus or a Beamer? You got to put the Mercedes in there, too. Mike, LeBron, or Kobe. Now y'all debate.
Interesting. So Shaq believes this should not be a two-headed conversation about Michael Jordan and LeBron James. It should be a three-headed conversation to put Kobe in that combo.
It's funny because Shaq's a center, so he's just pulling Kareem out of there and all the other great centers through time. I understand the sentiment. Here's the weird thing about this whole discussion to me. It feels like Kobe does belong in the GOAT conversation, but I have him ranked number between 9 and 12 in the all-time player list. Mm-hmm. But he's got this special aura about him that makes him, it feels okay to put him in a GOAT conversation, but if you actually break it down, he's not a top 6 player of all time.
It reminds me a little of the Steph Curry conversation,
yes,
right? It's like you can think Steph is amazing, changed the game, influenced so many people after him, and deserves to, maybe for that reason alone, deserves to be in the conversation, but nobody actually thinks Steph Curry is the greatest player in the history of the NBA because he was limited in other ways. Kobe at least was not limited in certain ways, right? But he was a great shooter. He was a great defender. You know, Kobe has a way more complete skill set, but he doesn't have the MVPs. He doesn't have the... I mean, he has the titles. He's not even the greatest Laker of all time, though, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's Magic.
And it's Magic. And so, like, I think you're right. Getting to watch Kobe, he was feared. He had all the things, right? He's just not right there in that conversation.
Well, I think you get into how much credit does he get for the Shaq conversations? Just a little, just numbers-wise. He was a 44% career shooter where Michael Jordan was over 50. I think LeBron's over 50. Like, that, to me, that's a huge deal. Like, he was a great offensive player, but he was a high-volume scorer. He had a little... I'm not saying
some of those teams
George
he didn't
Gervin.
have much help.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, there's a reason he shot 44% and Michael was just better. I'm sorry. And the other thing, too, he so copied Michael Jordan. He was the second. So I think Michael being the first, maybe that doesn't mean anything, but, like, he was clearly modeling his entire game off Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but you know what? It was a pretty good model because...
Pretty good, but just a little bit lighter to me.
Just a little bit lighter. I mean... I think that his influence, and it's a shame that he's not with us any longer to even participate in this kind of conversation, if he would even want to have participated in this, but if you're gonna, all the accolades that people and attributes that people loved about Michael, I mean, Kobe does have all of those. Like, yes, he was a bit of a carbon copy, but he was a good carbon copy. I mean,
Michael was way more efficient. He just was. I mean, I didn't see the two players as the same thing. I never have. I love Kobe, huge fan. He's just not Michael.
Yeah, went to your high school. I mean, the thing, too, is about Jordan. It's funny because Kirk Goldsberry is going to join us in studio. He's like a basketball savant who has written a new book about the bridge, really, from Michael Jordan to Nikola Jokic and, like, how did we get here? And it was Jordan, though, was like all twos. Jordan was also a guard who would back people down, like in the post. It was just a very different thing. Kobe was at least kind of straddling, not the full-on three-point revolution that we saw with Steph Curry, but at least dipped a toe into more of the three-point revolution than Jordan did. Look at the shot charts for Jordan versus Kobe.
Yeah, but Kobe was definitely, I don't know how many he took per game, but I feel like he was a little early for that.
More on the cusp than Jordan was. But again, all the things about being an intimidating force, being an intimidating teammate, but also a good teammate, all those things that Jordan had, Kobe has those too.
Kobe was only 32% from three. I mean, I think you could have a really interesting Tim Duncan versus Kobe debate too, because they're so different, but they both dominated their era. So
does Kobe belong in the GOAT debate with Jordan and LeBron? 855-212-4227. It's Wednesday, which means Great Debate Wednesdays around here. Today, we take something ripped from the headlines. We bring it to you on a silver platter. Don't move. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
It is Wednesday at this time, and around here, we do something called the Great Debate. And I'm actually glad that you bumped out with Tupac because it's a little on the nose of our theme this week, which is, you can hit the music.
The Great Debate Series.
Today's topic, very much in the news right now. Feuds, beefs, bad blood. I mentioned Tupac had an all-time rivalry with Biggie. That one ended badly. This one, not as tragic. Kendrick Lamar and Drake are in the news. Tom Brady's roast. I know there were shots fired outside of Drake's house. Let's not get crazy, people.
Wasn't that your first thought? That, no, where's this thing going?
Well, yeah, because we lived through Biggie Tupac. But the other part of this is feuds are in the news, is what we're getting at here, people. Not just about the rap beef, Kendrick Lamar and Drake, but also with the roast of Tom Brady kind of brought some feuds and rivalries up to the forefront. So today's Great Debate, the best sports feuds. Now, I just mentioned rivalry. I shouldn't have said that. Let's leave rivalries out of this, right? Rivalry could be a little something different.
Sure.
Rivalry, you could be good friends with your rival, like Federer and Nadal. Like, they'll pick each other up at the airport. This is feuds. This is people who do not like each other, hate each other, want to beat the other person into a pulp for personal and professional reasons. Feuds.
Okay, can I go first? Because I think the feud that set the tone for sports feuds for decades to come, the most famous one ever in my mind, Ali Frazier. Because not only was it a feud between the two of them, from my understanding of what I've read about it and seen in movies, basically they divided a whole country. They were either Ali became the left and Frazier became the right, which is funny because Frazier did not become the right. Ali made him the right.
Yeah.
So it became this gigantic political thing. Ali was ensconced in trouble because of the Vietnam War issues, and Joe Frazier emerged as a champion, and they were setting up this fight. And Ali, I think really to sell tickets and to sort of become even more famous, just said the most horrible things about Joe Frazier again and again and again. Joe Frazier had no inclination to hate Ali, but had no choice because Ali kept coming after him, said things that I can't repeat here, basically painted Joe Frazier as a pro-Vietnam, just terrible on all these social issues to hype up the fight. That was Ali's game, and it became real hatred. Then they had these 3 great boxing matches where they basically bludgeoned each other. I think big part of Ali's future problems with CTE because those fights were so brutal. I mean, Ali had several brutal fights, but those three in particular were brutal. So that feud played itself out in press conferences, as we'll hear, and it also played itself out in the ring.
This man will be completely out.
You got time. You got time.
This will be no contest. That's all I want to say.
All right, what do you say, Joe? What do you say to that? I'd say he's nothing but a bunch of noise. That's all.
If Joe Frazier whoops me, I'm getting on my hands and my knees. I crawl across the ring. Look up to you. Say you are the champion. You are the greatest. You might.
What do you say, Joe? That was like 1970. Is that a little 1948 though? I love it.
And it's an all-time one. That's amazing, Ali Frazier. I mean, Ali had a couple, too. George Foreman, with that one got a little personal also. It's great. We're doing the all-time great sports feuds, beefs, not just rivalries, feuds, people who did not like each other. And for that, I present to you one that still is going on today, and that is Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan. This is now going on 40 years, Perloff, of bad blood. It started out, well, kind of depends on who you talk to. Might have been Jordan snubbing Isaiah in an elevator at the 85 All-Star game. It might have been they thought Jordan dressed a little too flashy for the dunk contest. Either way, Jordan accused Isaiah of freezing him out of that All-Star game, not passing him the ball. Then, of course, the all-time drag-em-out battles. They met 3 straight times in the playoffs with the Pistons beating the Bulls, and Jordan finally gets the best of them that 4th time, and the Pistons refused to shake Michael Jordan's hand after he finally beat them. Jordan then allegedly blackballed Isaiah from the Dream Team, which is something that's still being talked about today. And there was also an added element of Isaiah Thomas being born and raised in Chicago and being the native son of Chicago. Then Jordan comes in and becomes the most important basketball player in the city of Chicago and sort of replaced Isaiah Thomas and that sort of zeitgeist. Let's hear a little of this. Can I hear the last dance first? Here's Michael Jordan talking about Isaiah Thomas and their rivalry.
The best point guard of all time is Magic Johnson, and right behind him is Isaiah Thomas. No matter how much I hate him, I respect his game. Now, it was insinuated that I was asking about him, but I never threw his name in there. Based on the environment and the camaraderie that happened on that team, it was best harmony. Would Isaiah made a different feeling on that team? Yes. You want to attribute it to me? Go ahead, be my guest. But it wasn't me. Whatever he says now, you know it wasn't his true actions then. It's time enough to think about it. Or the reaction of the public that's kind of changed his perspective of it.
Goes on.
You can show me anything you want. There's no way you can convince me he wasn't told.
There you go. That was Jordan, The Last Dance. This was Isaiah last week talking about Michael Jordan. Do we have that one? Excuse me, Charles Barkley last week talking about whether or not Michael Jordan kept Isaiah off the Dream Team.
Well, apparently Michael didn't want him on the team. Well, he wasn't going to be on the team. Yeah. Whoever Michael didn't want on the team wasn't going to be on the team. We're not going to be on the team.
And that was on Shannon Sharp's pod. Again, that was last week. We're still talking about this. Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, all-time feud. And that is our great debate today, the greatest sports feuds. EJ, who do you have?
Well, we talked about Kendrick Lamar and Drake and this rap feud that's been going on. Well, there's only one NBA feud, at least one important one, that actually had its own rap diss.
Think about that. It ain't about that. It's about B.I.G., a.k.a. Big Shaq. Now that's the difference between first and last place. Kobe, tell me how my tastes. Okay. Kobe, tell me how my tastes. Okay, everybody. Kobe, tell me how my tastes.
So that's Shaquille.
This was pre-smartphone, by the way. And somehow that footage still leaked out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is after Shaq won a title with the Heat, and he had now had more titles than Kobe. And the first thing he does is go to a club in New York City and perform a freestyle. He says, "Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes." I mean, when you get to beef, it doesn't get much worse than that. I mean, KobeBryant and Shaq, obviously R.I.P. Kobe, but these were teammates, and they were feuding pretty much the entire time they were together. The feud actually ended up costing them probably way more titles. They were the most dominant duo probably in the history of the NBA. And you had rap feuds. You had Kobe telling Colorado police stuff that may have led to Shaq being divorced. You had Kobe telling Shaq to get his fat ass in shape when they were trying to compete for titles. You had Shaq saying that he's the big dog. He's the only reason why players come to L.A. I mean, the quotes are just endless between these two. They could not get along. It probably cost the Lakers maybe a decade of a dynasty similar to the Bulls because of their feud. So Kobe and Shaq, to me, by far the greatest sports feud.
Okay. Who would like to go next? Pete Bellotti or Bogush, Bagoosh has come in to hang with us, even though you're Bill Writer today. Pete, why don't you go next? And we'll save Bagoosh for last.
Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick.
We're talking about the greatest sports feuds of all times, not rivalries, beefs and feuds. Yes.
It's a beef that you never really saw out in the public, but they were totally different. They had the same path, the same goals, but they were exactly opposite each other. Parcells more the regimented type of coach. Bill Belichick learned from it, but also adapted his own style, and it led to all those rings. So for me, it's Parcells Belichick.
Yeah, 30 for 30 about it. 2 Bills. They had a big falling out because of what happened with the Jets, and Bill kind of turned Belichick, went up to New England. And they didn't speak for a long time. Didn't even invite Parcells to his daughter's wedding.
Yep.
Ouch. Bagoosh is here. You're not doing updates for us today, but you are filling in for Bill Writer, who comes on after us on many of these awesome Infinity stations. But yet you are here with your biggest sports feud.
And thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me go last, since I'm not technically fully here today. This is a complete wild card. You can leave this off the tweet and the poll question afterwards. It's nonsense. But it's my favorite. Nothing else matters. EJ had half of my favorite sports feud. It's Kobe and his irrational hate that never ended for Kwame Brown and my guy Smush Parker. I will never understand why Kobe, I mean, I know why he hated them, but at some point I thought Kobe would go, you know what, I don't need to keep dissing Kwame Brown and Smush Parker, but he never stopped taking his shots at them. Smush is still talking about it now. Trying to explain how he tried to get back into Kobe's good graces. It is the most illogical fight in NBA history, and I love it completely.
Well, I get why Smush Parker's your guy, right?
Yes.
Because he's Fordham, right?
Yes.
Why are you claiming Kwame Brown?
No, I didn't. I just said Kobe and Kwame and my guy Smush.
Oh,
I did not claim Kwame.
Okay. So there you have it. The biggest sports feuds of all time. That's our great debate today. Just go back around the horn. Perloff, Ollie Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Isaiah and Michael Jordan. EJ went with Kobe Shaq. Pete Bellotti went with the 2 Bills, Parcell and Belichick. And Bagoosh went with Kobe
Should have been me and Perloff.
Smush Parker.
I think you and me fit in more than Smush Parker does. We just said about 10 of the most famous athletes and coaches of all time. Kwame Brown and Smush Parker?
But EJ, am I wrong? Kobe would never not take shots at them.
No, and it's
he
so bad
never
that
stopped.
It's so bad that, I mean, after Kobe passed away, I mean, even Smush Parker still had to be like, hey, this is why I still kind of hate Kobe Bryant. And to be honest, it's for good reason. I hate to say that. I mean, Kobe, it sounds like, was just truly terrible to him. For, again, no reason. He showed up in LA and Kobe pretty much hated him from the beginning. I think he went to the locker room at one point and Kobe just wouldn't speak to him. He was like, hey, I'm Smush Parker, and Kobe just didn't respond to him. That's how bad it got at one point.
Have you ever thought about doing a podcast, Bagoosh and Smoosh?
Got the title.
Bagoosh and Smoosh break down Fordham hoops.
And his reffing crew. He wants to ref in the NBA.
Oh, Leon Wood style.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, if you don't want to take abuse from players, definitely go be a ref.
Yeah.
Bagoosh and Smoosh
break down last night's calls.
Bagoosh and Smoosh sounds like a euphemism for sex. They went to go Bagoosh and Smoosh in the back.
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill because Smoosh. You guys want a Bagoosh and Smoosh?
If you're lucky.
What is it that everyone called Kwame? Oh, no, whatever. Actually, we already had to dump EJ's feud.
Can we go back to that?
Yeah, no. We are not going back to that, and we are not ever talking about
the lyric 5 times, and then you said it yourself.
Hey, by the way,
I got rid of.
I can say ass.
You can't say that statement.
You can.
Hey, by the way, do not play that rap song again either. I was going to wait till the break to say
worry
do
about
not play that. You do not play that.
It was just funny because not only did we play it, it was like 5 times.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Over and over.
I don't think you should have dumped that.
It's just so funny.
I'm upset.
Affiliates, we love you. We don't even know this EJ person. He's just filling in for today.
It's just so funny that it got bleeped and bleeped and bleeped, and then EJ just said it. That's like something I would do, EJ. Yep. And by the way, if you spelled it, you would have been in a better.
True. And actually, it's funny though. When EJ said it was fine. It's you can't play the SHAQ song. That's a known fact.
Oh, you should not listen to Jim Rome because Jim plays it all the time on
You should not be playing it.
So that's one thing, should or whatever, but you can, and Jim does all the time.
That's why I picked it, because
Jim.
I love Jim Rome, and he loves that clip.
You know who doesn't
we are
play
clones
it?
around here.
Know what podcast will not play it? Bagoosh and Smoosh.
It's our theme song. Hey, Smoosh, tell me what my...
In the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork, where Pine Needle says Draymond Green's fist in Jordan Poole's face. One of the all-time great feuds. We're talking about the greatest not rivalries, greatest feuds and beefs today as our great debate.
Nobody wanted to go with the iconic NBA one, the definition of an NBA feud? Magic Bird. There's a play called Magic Bird.
More of a rivalry,
they're frenemies. I don't count.
No, they hated each other for a long time.
Yeah, but didn't Magic want to be friends and Bird wouldn't let it happen?
Yeah, I mean, they were, yes, eventually they
Does
became
Bird
friends.
have any friends?
Oh. No.
Well, yeah, no, him and, isn't he buddies with Jordan? Is it Jordan he loves?
Leslie Nope?
No, Ewing. Ewing and Bird became best friends on the Dream Team, and I think Bird and Jordan are pretty close, too. But no, they hated each other. I'm sorry, you're right. They're no Smush Parker and KobeBryant. But I mean,
that's real hate, though.
I'm coming off watching that Winning Time and HBO. Like, you're right. And Frazier and Ali became friends again, too. So, and did all these guys eventually become friends?
That's why mine's the best, because Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas still hate each other.
That one has
so
legs.
does Kwame and KobeBryant.
Yeah, that's true. Kwame will never forgive Jordan or Kobe, to be honest. Definitely, he still does not like Jordan.
Yeah, but Shaq and Kobe did, obviously, they became friends again at the end. Did they reconcile in an important way?
I think let's go back to that song and see that.
Let's play it if
Kobe finally answered.
I mean, we had last hour Shaq saying Kobe should be in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah,
so obviously, I think you can have this great feud and eventually become friends. And isn't that the best part?
Oh, we've got some good ones here coming in from the chat. Keep them coming. And you can call us at 855-212-4227. Thank you, Bagoosh. Look forward to episode 1 of you and Smoosh talking about Debbie Does Dallas. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No, NBA officiating.
Oh, sorry.
And Debbie Does Dallas.
Moving screens and Jenna Jameson. It's an all-comprehensive and encompassing pod. There's nothing else like it. 855-212-4227. Your first guest, Shaq.
Singing.
Just to sing.
Tonight's a musical guest.
That's so ridiculous.
You know that clip's probably going to get played on Jim Rome today.
I don't care, really. It's not gonna, I'm not letting it fly on this show, as far as I'm concerned. Can't say that statement to me.
Again, just spell it next time. You'll be in the clear, like I did. 855-212-4227. Again, great debate. The greatest sports feuds of all time. Let's go.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, I see where we're going here. A little fast car. I actually have no idea what that has to do with what we're talking about, which is the greatest sports feuds of all time. It's Great Debate Wednesday. We have a good one today. Call us with your greatest sports feud of all time. 855-212-4227. I win with Ali Frazier. Maggie, you had Isaiah.
Michael Jordan. EJ went with Kobe Shaq. Lottie went with the two Bills, Parcells and Bill Belichick. And Bagoosh is not in with us today. He's filling in for Bill Ryder, but he went with Kobe versus Smush Parker.
It's amazing. The two Bills, and we have two Bills who called in.
I know. We've got some Bills on the line here calling from Cali. Let's get to Bill, who's in Berkeley. Bill, the greatest sports feud was between who and who?
Well, good morning. Love your show, by the way.
Thank you.
Kind of date myself on this one, but I think it's a beauty. And we're talking Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin.
Amazing. I mean, what I've said this before on the show. One of my favorite sports books of all time is Ladies and Gentlemen, The Bronx is Burning. And it's all about that era, and the day when Billy Martin pulls Reggie Jackson from the outfield in the middle of the inning, in the middle of a game, is legendary stuff. And then the two obviously had a massive blow up in the dugout. I mean, you don't see stuff like that anymore. These two guys hated each other.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing how many more championships possibly they could have had, and it was their greatest rivalry, of course, the Dodgers. The other one that really sticks out to me is in the mid-'80s, and it was Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan of the Bears.
Yep. Bill, thank you for that. I know Perloff, Buddy Ryan's like a patron saint for you.
I thought he was going to do when Buddy Ryan put the bounty on the Cowboys kicker, and the Eagles linebacker just made a beeline and ruined his career. I think it was Max Zendejas or somebody's Zendejas. Anyway, Buddy Ryan was all time. It just like the modern sensitive NFL would never have been able to deal with that dude. He was out of his mind.
No, those two guys, Buddy Ryan and Ditka himself too. A different Bill.
I'm sorry, Louis Zendejas.
In a different part of California is on the phone with a different sports feud. Hey, Bill, who do you have?
Good morning, guys. Hey, before I get my thing, one I just thought of was Pete and the rest of you guys. This is how you guys always go at Pete, you know.
Pete versus the show.
Yeah.
Listen,
But
I'm Pete's biggest champion around here.
I've read all of Pete's books, including What's the Deal with That?
And how dare you?
I'm going with Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent.
That's a great one. Teammates absolutely despise each other, Bill. And in California, you got a front row seat for that when they were on the Giants.
Didn't Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent hate everybody? Aren't both of them the two most famous ne'er-do-wells in baseball history? I do
Ornery.
understand.
Yeah, no.
And they directed at each other as well. I don't know much about that.
Two guys just could not get along. A lot of resentment, I think. Barry was sort of standoffish and always got the better treatment. And I think Jeff Kent, who probably still should be in the Hall of Fame, we would talk about that another time.
And Jeff Kent has an MVP that probably should have went to Bonds, and there was a lot of resentment around that.
That also.
And they got to a fight in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
How about when Leland called out Bonds, too? That was an all-time. I know they didn't like each other. Barry Bonds is in the middle of a lot of these.
No doubt, especially Barry Bonds versus the Hall of Fame. Adam is in Vancouver as one. Pete, you're going to love this. Adam, biggest sports feud.
Good morning. Morning. How you guys doing today?
We're good.
Good. Yeah, Pete, I'm really surprised you didn't bring this one up, but I'm going to go with Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, all culminating in 1997 Survivor Series in Montreal.
Adam, thank you for weighing in. Pete, I'm going to give you the floor here. Is that the greatest wrestling feud?
It might be. I kind of put Hogan Piper there too. But yeah, it might be. I think it's number one because they really hated each other. 1997 was them hating each other in the locker room and hating each other on camera.
Oh, I mean that got really nasty. You had Shawn Michaels insinuating Bret was cheating on his wife with Sonny. I mean, it was.
But I can never tell what's real and what's not real. No offense.
That was real.
Okay, because they could all be for show. Like this is the thing about WWE and wrestling. You're never sure when you're getting worked.
Well, there was a big fight in the locker room once where Shawn went home because he got his hair pulled out, and he was off camera for about a month for it, and then they had the Montreal Screwjob, which was a real life thing that played out in the wrestling world.
Can I tell you one thing? I mean, let's go back a little. Tito Santana and Don Magnificent Man Morocco were not friends of each other. That's the thing. It's wrestling.
Take your word for it.
They are designed feuds, so you can't do wrestling because maybe this did, but there's like you could do. That's what the sport is.
Well, this is for our caller. This is the reason why I didn't do this because this would have been you can't do this. This is wrestling. Wrestling's not a sport. That's what I would have hit with. So that's why I didn't do it.
What
is
about
that your invitation of Bagoosh?
No, that's my invitation of the naysayers.
What about, can I just ask, I'm sorry, Stone Cold and The Rock, or Stone Cold and somebody had a big one, right?
All those feuds were not into real life.
Oh, gotcha. So that's a difference. So you can have that's more of a rivalry, like just a great competition, great entertainment.
Piper and Hogan would have been second for me because they were competitive outside the ring too. So
Infinity Sports Network. What's the name we coming from?
I would go Shawn Michaels Brett.
Hey,
Wait. Well, how would it be Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan were competitive? I saw a documentary of Roddy Piper. They got drunk together every night for many, many years. Oh, no, that was Randy Savage. But all those guys got high and drunk 7 nights a week.
Oh, yeah.
And they hated each other apparently too. No, we're doing our great sports feuds. That was an interesting one to go to WWE, where Jerry in the chat says Bret Hart and Vince McMahon. I don't know if that's real or not. Let's get back to the other professional sports.
That's why I didn't do it.
Sorry.
See?
That's why I didn't do it.
How about Al Davis and Marcus Allen? So this is according to
That's a
Michael in
great one.
California.
How about Al Davis? Well, no, because Al Davis in the NFL, that's an all-time feud.
Yeah,
There's
but
a
he and
30
Marcus
for 30.
Allen, that was, I mean,
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
He made Marcus Allen a fullback. I mean, that got personal and then led to stuff on the field with those guys.
So Elmo is here saying Messi versus Ronaldo. I don't know. Do they not like each other though, or that's a rivalry to me, right? They have one guy in a foil. We talked about Federer and Nadal. Sampras and Agassi. I just don't know if these guys actually hate each other off the field, like Isaiah and Michael Jordan hate each other.
Well, Jimmy Connors and McEnroe hated each other.
They definitely.
So that you're right. That was a rivalry and a feud. I think the best is when you have the best two in a sport. I would prefer if Messi and Ronaldo didn't like each other. It'd be for good drama, but Messi won that one. Kind of like Kendrick Lamar beat Drake, right? Is that what?
Tito Ortiz, Dana White, I'm seeing here. Got a lot of good ones. Let's go back to the phones. Birdie's in Florida. It's got one from the baseball world. Good morning, Birdie.
Good morning. I don't know if this is just one moment in time or a longer-term thing, but it was Nolan Ryan, one-sided against Robin Ventura.
Yeah. Well, if I was Robin Ventura, I would never forgive Nolan Ryan. I don't know how you reconcile after that kind of punch.
That is not a rivalry or a feud, because a big brother and a little brother and giving a noogie to a little brother, that's not a feud. That's a one-sided thing.
That was a dusting. Birdie, thank you for the memorable moment there. Let's go to Mike in California. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys.
How you doing
So
today?
I've got one that's kind of obscure if you don't follow NASCAR, but growing up in NASCAR in the 90s, Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon, those guys hated each other and almost tried to kill each other a couple of times on the track.
You're so right. The NASCAR feuds get real personal. And it's a traveling circus with those guys, right? They're with each other all the time because they move from one city to the next, so you can never get away from the other
And not only
person.
that, they have a massive metal machine flying at 200 miles an hour that they can hit the other person with.
Oh, yeah, and a lot of times back in the 90s, you almost tuned into the races just to see if one of them was going to put the other one on the wall finally.
I know.
And then my other one was Al Davis and Marcus Allen, because we still don't know what the fallout was on that one. And, Davis died taking it to his grave, and nobody will still talk about it to this day. And there's been huge speculation over the years what caused that falling out. But, I mean, Al Davis spent a lot of money to make sure Marcus Allen never got to play football again. So that was whatever it was pretty nasty.
Mike, great ones. As always, good to hear from you. Thank you. And also sparked a nice debate about pork belly the other day because Mike's such a nice big chef, gives us recipes all the time. And how many days of the week should you be eating pork belly?
7. By the way, I'm looking at NASCAR. Remember Kyle Busch and Joey Logano beat each other up right after a fight? NASCAR is a good one. And I'm sure back in the day, like Richard Petty's day, I'm sure they all really, those are feuds. That's good stuff.
All right, guys, keep these coming. We'll get some headlines here from Pat Boyle. We'll go back to our great debate today, which is greatest feuds of all time. Pat, by the way, if you have a feud, you're welcome to weigh in on it. You can give it some thought.
All-time sports feud?
Mm-hmm. Bad beef, though, not just rivalry. You can think about it.
And not ones that you guys have mentioned yet. All right, I'm going to have
Well,
to...
you could, if you want to do Ali Frazier and support me, that'd be good.
Perloff already said it, but...
Let me try to come up with one on my own. Let me sit on it for a couple minutes.
All right, what do you got for headlines, pal?
Yeah, just as Dallas started to creep back into it last night in Game 1, they cut a double-digit deficit down to 9 points. The Thunder used a 17-2 run to slam the door shut. OKC, the top seed in the West, goes up 1-0 with a 117-95 victory on a night where he'll be hoping to hear his name called as the NBA MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night delivered a masterful performance, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Chet Holmgren added 19. Jalen Williams had 18. Luka Doncic also hoping to hear his name as the NBA MVP tonight. Was stifled all night long by Lou Dort and Holmgren. He just had 19 points on 6 of 19 shooting. Earlier, another barrage of threes at TD Garden as Jaylen Brown stepped up and poured in 32 points. Celtics crushed the Cavs 120-95 in Game 1. Jason Tatum only had 18 points in an off night for him, but Derek White, once again, dropping 25 like it's nothing. On the other side, Donovan Mitchell did all he could, 33 points, but with Darius Garland once again struggling, Jared Allen out, and nobody on the Cleveland bench being able to hit a three, does Mitchell feel any added pressure on offense?
I trust my guys. You know what I mean? That's kind of that's how I've always been. And, it's one thing where we got to continue to run our offense. And like I said, it's one game and we'll be better at it.
He's got to be fed up. Nobody on that team could score. Darius Garland stinks now.
I know. Well, but he didn't really in the first series. He had a couple big games against the Magic, right?
Yeah, but anytime they lose, he does nothing.
Funny how that happens.
I was really disappointed that the Cavs even had to go 7 games against the Magic. And, of course, you need your legs against the Celtics. This team is not coming together the way we once thought they might.
I mean, how long do you give this team with the Mitchell contract kind of looming? Do you have to kind of blow it up at this point? They're kind of young. I mean, Allen's still young. Garland's still young. Mobley is still young. But this was supposed to be a team that by now is competing for a championship, and we see they're nowhere close.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's sort of putting Donovan Mitchell on other teams, saying, ooh, he might fit here, he might go there. We've entered that stage.
Well, because you've already seen him have playoff success. It's like, those kind of guys.
Well, my point is not in Cleveland, though.
Yeah.
No one's talking
He
about
didn't wanna go
Donovan
there
Mitchell.
anyway.
Yeah, no one's talking about him winning there. Everyone's talking about him going somewhere
It's got
else.
to be a failure now of a trade from Cleveland's standpoint if they indeed get bounced easily in the series because they gave up Lauri Markkanen, who became a star in Utah. He's an all-star.
But he's also floated around, too.
Well, sure, but he's not as expensive as Mitchell, and you lost 3 or 4 draft picks to make this move happen.
Well, they think they'll recoup him.
I hope they
trade
can.
Mitchell. What else we got, Pat?
Yeah, so Game 2 tomorrow night. Rudy Gobert won his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award last night. He's now tied with Ben Wallace and Dikembe Mutombo for most all-time. Jamal Murray will not be suspended for throwing a heat pack towards an official in Denver's Game 2 blowout loss on Monday night, but he is getting a $100,000 fine. Stanley Cup playoffs last night, Game 1 in Dallas between the Stars and Avalanche. Dallas went up 3-0 in the first period, but then collapsed. And in OT, one final snowball to complete the crumble.
Sam Girard creates some space for Cogliano. Finally, he clears Miles Wood in space. He's got some speed. Wood towards the net. He scores! Reach for the sky!
Avs radio. I mean, talk about letting it fly.
Oh, wow.
Miles Wood wins it in OT for Colorado, 4-3. We had double OT at the Garden last night. Vincent Trocheck ends it against his former team. Rangers 4-3 winners in 2 OTs against Carolina. Blue Shirts hold serve. They lead 2-0. We had the NHL lottery last night. Being pathetic does pay off for the San Jose Sharks.
Hey, that's our team.
Oh, that's your. I know Perloff's got the Sharks jersey, right?
Yeah, we're catching them at the right
It's
time.
a Ducks jersey.
Mighty Ducks.
We're catching them at the right time, too, because it looks like they're about to get another phenom is entering the NHL. So this is us. This is.
Now, here's the thing.
Maggie and Perloff, San Jose Sharks.
Here's the thing. I know we want to romanticize the number 1 overall pick. The NFL draft, I feel like, is like the only one where you get like pushback. Like so many people think Caleb Williams is going to stink. Every year, all I got to hear is, the next phenom in hockey. How many phenoms are we going to have?
Well, they're really good.
Yeah, but if they're all really good every year, then...
But like the Connor McDavid and the Austin, these guys are panning out.
We've really had 2. We've had the 2 Connors. Well, who else has really been at that level? Bedard and McDavid are different than everybody else.
Correct.
Yeah,
And Sidney
Jack
Crosby.
Eichel's
not in that.
Eichel's not in that conversation.
Yeah.
He can't be. Unless he's scoring 50 goals a year. Every number 1 overall pick every year can't be a phenom.
Okay, but this next kid is supposed to be the real deal.
He's
17 years old, and
he's going to our team.
I know, and he's going to the Sharks, guys. Let's get on board.
I think Bedard is generational, though.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him play a full year.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke his jaw.
But I'm not as...
I don't think Jack Hughes lived up to that generational tag, and he got it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, McDavid's completely different. McDavid's like LeBron almost, like not quite that. But I'm an Oilers/Bruins fan.
Yeah, sure.
In addition to this, like you cannot take my hockey teams away.
Yeah.
No, Flyers. I'm off them.
3 hockey teams?
No.
You
can't even figure it out. It
I
defies
went
logic.
to an Oilers game this calendar year. Nobody can take that away from me.
In
That makes me a
Vegas.
fan.
Yeah,
That makes me a fan.
No, you got to go to Edmonton.
Unless you're going to Edmonton.
Well, I'm doing my road trip
Good
to San
luck.
Antonio. Is Edmonton on the way?
We will never see you if you go back to drive to Edmonton and go down to
He's
San
taking the
Antonio.
Canadian
drive,
route
probably.
down to San Antonio. Very popular.
Western Canada for that.
Blackhawks, after getting generational Connor Bedard, still one of the worst teams in hockey. They get the 2. Anaheim Ducks get the 3rd pick. Finally, just as quick, well, not finally, but football, just as quickly as Rashee Rice developed into a budding star for the Chiefs, he has developed into a budding problem for the Super Bowl champs. He's a suspect now in an alleged assault that injured a man at a Dallas nightclub earlier this week. Police said no charges have been filed as of yesterday afternoon. And, if you remember, Rice was arrested in Dallas in March for his involvement in a 7-car crash where he was driving 119 miles per hour just before the crash.
Okay, did we hear how many games they thought that he would be suspended for by the league? Half
James
the season.
Palmer said at least half the season.
Okay,
that was before this story.
Now he may have assaulted a photographer. We'll see what happens with that story. We'll wait and see. But is that the whole season? I mean, kiss it goodbye, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, usually at the NFL, guys get back on the field quicker than we expect. I'm not ready to say that. You think it's a whole season?
Well, I think it's a little cumulative. I think Goodell likes to do this. We know Adam Silver did it too with Draymond. It's like if you have multiple things, like remember what Goodell did with James Harrison back in the day? Like the fines just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because he was a repeat offender for some of those huge hits. And so I think they don't like 2 incidences in 2 months. And I think that they would make the fine way more substantial, or the punishment way more substantial.
Well, we need some consistency. Not that I'm excusing Rashee Rice's behavior at all, but if he's going to get a full season for what he did, we need to start holding the domestic violence abusers and the sexual predators accountable.
I mean, no kidding.
Well, as long as he didn't make an $800 parlay, then he's fine. Because that's the only thing NFL really cares about, because that affects their bottom line. They don't want anyone to think they're too close to gambling. By the way, Rashee Rice, another example. You do not know these. Who did not like Rashee Rice coming into the season? He was so smiley and positive. Like, you do not know these people away from
I'll be honest,
the field.
though. I see these stories and I say, reason why he's not a first-round pick, I guess.
Yeah, you could go back. That's well,
like,
I said that about George Pickens too. Like, how did George Pickens fall? You look at him; he's like 6'4" and blazing.
Exactly.
It's got to be that. I mean, Tyreek Hill, we actually know he was already in trouble though.
Yeah, him. Joe
we did
Mixon,
not know that about Rice.
Video evidence.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill fell to the 5th. Antonio Brown too.
Yep.
Everyone knew he was super talented.
Final, on a lighter note.
Please.
Snoop Dogg's getting a bowl game.
Yes.
So him and Dr. Dre, their beverage line, their alcoholic beverage line, Dre and Snoop, and their new drink, Gin and Juice, is going to be the official sponsor of the Arizona Bowl, who seemingly just lets anybody sponsor that.
Oh, is that the old Barstool? It
used to be
Bowl?
Barstool. Now it's going to be called the Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. Snoop Dogg announcing his intent to bring the juice back to college football. So
okay, 2 things here. One, are people going to be so high they don't even know what the score is? What's the score?
Not even high now. They're going to be faded.
Yeah, right. Both. What's in that gift bag? Like little diesel? I don't know. Anything is in that gift bag, for that bowl game. The other thing is, why did it take this long for them to start a Gin and Juice drink line? That song came out in 1993.
Great question. 30 years.
What were they doing?
30 years. I think Snoop has just been high for 30 years. And then finally he was sober for like a day and he goes,
drinks.
There's got to be a way to make money off this.
Right.
I want to do a drink line. If only we had a song.
I don't think their relationship has always been great over these 30 years.
Maybe they're one of our feuds?
Not that they feuded per se, but I mean, for 2 guys that were peas in the pod in the mid-early 90s, once Dre left Death Row, I think after that it wasn't the same. I think that's probably why it took so long.
I'm also going to put this out there. It's not really that hard to make your own gin and juice. It's not a complicated drink mix. It's not a margarita.
No, but you need it in a can.
I think
bartender Perloff.
Do you really need it in a can? I feel like you put in some gin and you got the juice. Boom, you got gin and juice.
I know, but this is the thing today. And you're not much of a drinker, but this is the thing today where everyone has their cocktails already pre-made for you in a can.
That's a thing.
This is the.
So lame.
What do you mean that's a thing? Where have you been living?
White Claw. You don't have like a White Claw or whatever. Like
a High Noon.
No. Because I'm a man and I'm not going to drink a White Claw or a gin and juice. I get
High Noon is I think the masculine mixed drink.
God,
that's actual vodka. That's not like the sugar. I forget about Portnoy or whatever. If it tastes good, then
No, get it. Scotch in a glass, like a
man.
A man.
By the way,
a picnic though, or like a beach. Like you can't. Like it's not as easy to do that.
I'll give you that.
You guys don't know this. Perloff also thinks a rum and Coke is not a manly drink.
If you go,
ridiculous.
It's rum and Coke.
Go ahead.
We got much more manly than that.
Listen.
You say you walk up, you're trying to impress a woman, Pat, and you go up and say, I'll have a Diet Pepsi and a Malibu. Get out of here.
No, I say, give me a cranberry vodka, and then I say, I'm in touch with my feminine side. There you go.
Cranberry
Easier
vodka.
way to open up the door.
At least you get the antioxidants in there. I like the way you're thinking.
Exactly.
I
show
don't like
that I'm in touch with the feminine
I
side.
didn't know about this.
There's not one woman in this world who slept with a guy because he ordered a vodka cranberry. I just want to let you know.
Okay, I actually haven't used that move, so now that you say that, Maggie, I'll make sure to keep it in the holster.
Don't worry. That's not what's going to close the deal for you.
Can we
Pat.
just drink? I'm sorry. Can we drink beer? Like, dudes cannot drink White Claw. I usually don't like to be
Don't
a
worry.
caveman or anything.
Everyone's still drinking
table.
beer. The thing is some of these canned cocktails, they have like 100 calories or whatever. It's a little bit,
That's
healthier.
pathetic.
No, if I'm trying to impress a woman, you go up and you order a shot of tequila. Couple shots.
Yeah. Or a martini. Martini's a little...
What are you, Mad Men?
Martini.
Martini's a great drink.
You'd be so blitzed.
Wait a minute. So you're saying rum and Coke isn't a manly drink, but a martini is? With a little stem? Should I get an olive too?
Do you know what a martini is made of? It's just booze. It's like 5 shots in one glass. It's
Yes,
the best
but
drink
the
of all
glass
time.
that it's being drank in is the opposite of manly.
No.
It's true. A martini
True
glass.
alcoholics love martinis more than anything. That is like what again?
They're
A
also not
White
trying to
Claw
impress
has
women.
like 1 ounce of alcohol. Martini is like what do you think a whole generation of madmen were doing? Those were stone cold alcoholics drinking martinis, not White Claws.
I gotta be honest. I don't know if the shot of tequila is gonna help you with a woman either.
Why?
Well, if she has a shot, maybe. But again, gotta have consent. But the thing is, like, if I'm seeing a guy doing shots, depends. If I'm really partying and maybe I don't care, but I'm like, he's gonna be so drunk. This is gonna be sloppy and not that fun.
That's what I would assume too.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Listen.
I think you find out how much somebody likes to live on the edge. If they're going tequila shot right out of the gate, sure.
I
mean,
it's a statement.
Do you want to know how someone lives on the edge though when you're just meeting them?
Yeah.
But I think it depends what you're looking for. You're looking for a fun night or you're looking for a boyfriend, girlfriend.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You said if you're trying to pick up a girl at a bar.
Yeah, then maybe tequila
And
shots.
Pat's trying to send out a message that I'm a fun night and not boyfriend material.
That message will be sent.
Here for a good time, not a long time.
You're not offended by me saying that, I hope.
Not at all.
Pat's a one night only kind of dude.
For
not I'm here
for
all
now.
week. I'm here tonight. Tip your bartender. Thank you, Pat. That was great. We still have the great debate out there for you, which is the greatest sports feuds of all times. Not rivalries. We're talking real bad blood here. Beefs. People who really, really didn't like each other. 855-212-4227. We're back with more in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Boogles and swoosh, talking about the game. Yeah, that's the vibe. Boogles and swoosh, on top of the game. NBA refs and dating advice. It's all the same. Whistle blows, sour, no foul. Refs calling shots, but when it comes to love, we got that knowledge too. Listen up, 'cause Boogs and swoosh dropping truth for you. For you. Refs and romance, a serious combination here to give you. Boogs and smooth, weather on the corner and mattress. Boogs and smooth, staying there.
Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There you go. Just found out in the last segment, Snoop Dogg is sponsoring a college football bowl.
Yeah.
Because they finally turned gin and juice into a cocktail in a can 30 years later.
I mean, that is an illustrious. They're taking over from Barstool Sports to the
Passing
Gin and
the
Juice
torch.
Bowl. Passing the torch. The granddaddy of them all. Not so much.
Let's get back to our great debate question for today, which is the greatest sports feud of all time. Got some Kendrick Lamar Drake beef going on. The Tom Brady roast brought a lot of feuds to the forefront. Brady versus Belichick, Kraft versus Belichick, all that stuff. And now we're asking you for the greatest sports feuds. Let's get to Mike's in Syracuse. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Who's your sports feud?
For me, there's nothing that rages harder and hotter than French Canadians, former teammates that raised the cup together, but just could not get along. Mario Tremblay and Patrick Roy.
Yep. And was the famous line that went by him and said, I'm never going to play another game for you ever again, and got traded to the Avalanche right after. Am I getting the story right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, that was a good one.
They actually almost came to blows in a Long Island diner.
Who hasn't?
Like
Mike.
4 weeks before he became his head coach.
Mike, it's a great one. Thanks so much for checking in. Dave's in Arizona has one we have not touched on yet. Hey, Dave.
Hey, thank you, long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding.
Man,
now, that's some real bad blood there.
You think so? It's a great one, Dave. We didn't mention that one, but thank you for doing it because, I mean, they were rivals before, and then you never come back from something like that. You know, basically your friend's boyfriend's weird friend club you
Gil
in the
Hooley.
knee.
Well, I just
Jeff
think that
Gillooly.
I think we were picking ones with a little more legs, like EJ with Shaq, Kobe. That lasted years. This was a sort of a one-off.
Was that supposed to be like a pun or something? More legs?
Oh, with Tanya.
Is that like a bad dad joke?
No, not on purpose. I think they're so ingrained. But, that was like one thing. Like, that's not an ongoing feud. She took out her knees.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying not to laugh. It was a big thing at the time.
And they were rivals before then, too.
Rivals, but the feud was not like that. And nobody
ratcheted.
knew about it. Did you know? Maybe you did, but I had no idea.
Let's go to Chris, who's in Alabama. Good morning, Chris.
Hey, good morning. I'm an Ohio State fan that lives in Alabama,
Oof.
but the 10-year war was one that I grew up listening about, and then it was kind of reignited when Jim Harbaugh gets hired, and he starts dressing just like Woody, and he's open about how much he liked Woody Hayes' style of football, and then goes on to win the national championship that way.
Yeah, the Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes, that's definitely bad blood. And then did you also say Urban Meyer and Nick Saban was another one? These coaches, definitely. I wasn't sure about Meyer and Saban. I wasn't sure that theirs was so bad.
I think they're friends because Meyer's best friends with Belichick and Saban's like brothers with Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
I assume they were all. Now, wait, so there was a Michigan-Ohio State rivalry, and I'd actually like to look at were Schembechler and Hayes. They must have been at each other. And by
they're
the way,
recruiting against each other. I would imagine there's probably a lot of hate there.
Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz is my favorite one. When
what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, feels like Jim Harbaugh is the current king of coaching feuds. Like guys have an issue with him. As much as we love him right now, wait till he gets in some guy's face in the NFL.
It's
That'd
going to be
fun.
great. It's going to be awesome. So you guys can keep them coming squirrely in the chat. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network says Clemens and Piazza. That's also a good one. Throw a bat at a guy. How dare you?
And he thought it was the ball.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
There are a lot of that. That whole Red Sox Yankees era.
Awesome. So much to do. 855-212-4227. Coming up, we turn our attention to the NFL. Big question for one of the league's brightest stars. Get to that in a moment.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We love when athletes surprise us, right? When they try to attempt things and do things we've never seen before. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Well, yesterday, the question was floated out by Austin Rivers, who is still a current NBA player, Doc's son, obviously. And he was on Pat McAfee's show, and he said this.
So I could take 30 players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA.
Okay, so you could take 30 players in the NBA, put them in the NFL, can't do it vice versa. I will agree with him. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA. They can't score and shoot in the type of way that you would have to play in the NBA. However, I do get what he's talking about, taking guys from the NBA. If they have the right body type and the right mentality, Perloff, I think you take a year and get a guy ready for the NFL, and I think he could do it.
What's happening in this year? Like, what is this this crash NFL training course that's going on? That doesn't seem how you learn to play NFL football to me.
Well, you've got to start, training in a different way. You've got to start take some hits a little bit. You got to get a little roughed up, and you got to learn a playbook.
I think there's so much subtlety to be like a really good NFL player. There's so much subtlety to all these positions, like cornerback and wide receiver, maybe tight end. You can push people around, and left tackle. Those guys are so big too. Yep. And it's just not as easy to me. I think that it'd be very hard. I don't think you can. Let's take, for example, I watched him last night. Lou Dort seems like a perfect NFL body. Just the subtleties of the game. How do you know when he actually gets up against a line against someone? Is he going to be able to get low and get the leverage? You have no idea.
Okay, but you're starting at a place where they're already an elite enough athlete to make it in one league.
So, but you can't. You're not saying that's true for the NFL.
No, I'm not. But you have like the physical. You'd have to have some type of physical tools first, right? And so you would have those in the NBA if you're transitioning from the NBA to the NFL. You have some kind of physical tools, and clearly your footwork has to be amazing. So I'm giving you physical tools, and I'm giving you very good footwork. I think you're already kind of halfway there. Yes, the intricacies of the game, the knowledge of playing, and all the game situations you've been in, I can't give you that. But again, if I took a year, you basically have to learn a language. You have to learn a playbook. I think I can get an elite athlete up. You're telling me Anthony Edwards at 6'4" and 235 or whatever he is, 225, get him up to 240. He's got a frame where you could put more weight on it. You're telling me if he really wants to hit people, he couldn't be a linebacker? I think he could.
Yes, I am telling you 100%. A linebacker is such a mental position. That's why they don't get drafted high. You have no idea if he has a mentality to be a linebacker. Zero. Just because he can fly on the basketball court, that has nothing to do with playing linebacker in the NFL. And you stick to tight end or wide receiver in this argument. Linebacker, those guys, first of all, a lot of them are shorter and sort of just killers. There's no way Anthony Edwards can play linebacker in the NFL.
Okay, but yes, we're talking about Austin Rivers said you could take 30 NBA players and put them in the NFL, and he thinks they would have success. Yes, it has to be a guy with the right mentality. But you're telling me that Anthony Edwards, who's just an absolute dog, loves playing on the defensive side, it seems like, as much as the offensive side, did play, I think he played football in high school. He said football was one of his first loves. I think that you have to first have a guy who wants to get hit. And if you have that, well, then it's just teaching him the position, and you're teaching an elite athlete the position.
Yeah, that want to get it to me, again, it gets back to leverage. You look at wide receivers. If it was so simple, why wouldn't it just be a body type that makes a great wide receiver? There's just so much, getting in and out of breaks, being able to feel the other person, being able to catch the ball under pressure, being able to catch the ball when you're about to get hit. None of that stuff you can train in a year to do. It's just something that you're either born with or you develop. I think it's way, way harder. Yes, I do think that maybe some basketball players could become, I don't know, like the last guy on the bench in the NFL, but they're not all of a sudden going to become Keenan Allen. It's not going to happen.
Well, I think when you say, wide receivers, for example, they've got to get in and out of breaks. They've got to have, that's what I would trust about an NBA player the most. I mean, your lateral movement, the lateral quickness, and being able to, again, you feeling somebody's body, like you do that stuff as an NBA player. You have some contact. It's not a collision like it is in the NFL. Those are the things I think that would help an NBA player in this instance.
I just think there's so many subtle. What makes Cooper Kupp a superior wide receiver? I can't even tell you what it is.
Sean McVay.
Yeah, good point.
The system, Mr. System.
Yeah, actually, I'm a big fan of Cooper Kupp. There's just a lot of subtleties to the game, just like the NBA. And that's why an NFL player probably is not going to make the NBA too. There's just years and years and years of playing basketball is very important to make it to the NBA.
Oh, I agree with you. Because I think if you're a good enough athlete and it's between the NBA and the NFL, and let's say you really could have done either, I think guys will always choose the NBA because it's just less wear and tear on your brain, on your body, guaranteed contracts. There's so many reasons to want to go for the NBA if all things being equal.
Right, but that is not a decision that ever happens. There's nobody choosing between the NBA and NFL. I mean, it's just not a thing that baseball and football all the time. There's always guys who are Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
There's 10 of him. Bubba Sterling, who was a high pick by the Royals, he could have been an NFL quarterback, but it just doesn't happen with the NBA.
855-212-4227. So that's the question today. Do you agree with Austin Rivers? Could you take 30 NBA players and put them in the NFL? I'll agree with you. I don't think it goes NFL to NBA. It's hard to teach guys to shoot with that kind of skill in a short amount of time.
And the NBA guys are too tall and skinny to go to the NFL.
Jay is our pal in Nashville. Hey, Jay, what's up?
What's going on? Good morning, y'all. Just woke up. They're scaring the crap out of everybody with this tornado stuff in Tennessee, but ain't nothing going to happen, hopefully. But I just woke up to this debate, and I agree with Austin, man, because it's already happened. Tony Gonzalez, I watched them play at Cal. Who else? The one guy that played tight end for the Saints for so long. I think Julius Peppers was an NBA player, and that dude came off the basketball court killing quarterbacks. So,
but none of those guys were in the NBA.
Athleticism. Say what now?
None of those guys made the NBA because they weren't built for the NBA. They were too big and slow.
Yeah, that was kind of the argument is like they were good basketball players, but they weren't good enough to really get drafted and play in the NBA.
I understand that, but we're talking about they already have the precursor of being able to do. I mean, look at LeBron. You saying LeBron couldn't have played tight end, and then on top of that, every quarterback's dream is to have an NBA-sized dude in the red zone.
Good hands.
You know what I mean? Like right there at the X or the Y or the Z, and you know what I mean? Just throw up lob passes to him all day, every day. It's not a level of skill that we're talking about. I mean, it's not a level of athleticism we're talking about here. Because when we're talking about a level of athleticism, NFL rocks all the everybody across the board, no matter what sport. The level of athleticism is like top notch. You know what I mean? But we're talking about, you just said it, Maggie, it's the level of skill that we're talking about. Because this is like when it comes to golf, when it comes to basketball, when it comes to baseball, this level of skill is not just automatic. You know, you're not just born with it. It's something that's worked on. You're probably born with some of it, but it's why baseball players, it's like they never stop practicing. Golf, the same thing. NBA, these guys are shooting. Kobe used to take 1,000 shots or something like that before he even left the gym and stuff like that. This is a level of skill that has to be worked on. So it's not, I mean, maybe if you, and this is over years. You can't.
I agree with you, Jay. I'm with you. I think the NBA going to the NFL, that wouldn't happen. But again, if you're giving me if you're giving me NBA to the NFL, I kind of like it. Jay, you're the best. Thank you. Because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of positions where maybe I don't have to touch the ball. Yeah. There's a lot of positions where I'm just, my athleticism. I'm not saying that NFL players don't have skill. Clearly they do. But there are something we call skill positions and then non-skill positions where you can use more of your physical gifts to get by.
NFL has a wider variety of skill sets.
And body types.
Yeah. But again, like this idea, just get a tall guy and fit. That's just not how it works.
You don't think LeBron would have been a good tight end?
No, I don't think so. Because I have no idea. Does Travis Kelce remind you of LeBron? He's the best tight end probably ever. I just think you have no idea what
David
LeBron.
Njoku kind of reminds me. Could remind me of LeBron, something like that.
Listen, who's the tall receiver out of Florida State? Johnny Wilson.
Yeah.
He's 6'8". Why don't you just throw a fade to him every day? He fell to the 6th round.
Well, Calvin Johnson, how tall was he?
He was 6'4".
Well, I thought he was taller than that.
And he was an incredible, he was a freak of all freaks. And he was amazing. Yes. I mean, you're talking about maybe the most talented receiver of all time. But I'm saying you just can't put a 6'10" guy out there. What's the guy, Donald Parham on the Chargers? He's a borderline NFL player and he's 6'10". That doesn't exist. There are no super tall tight ends. There's two.
855-212-4227. Our pal Big Dave is in Kentucky. Good morning, Warden. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Talk about a mosaic show. I mean, you guys have covered more different crap than Wikipedia this time.
It's a skill, Dave. It's a skill.
Yeah, hey, it is. And the greatest sports feud thing, I'm gonna go straight in the club and go against the grain here. What about Paul Azinger and Sevi Ballesteros?
Golf feuds, nothing like it. Somebody told us they taught Tiger and Phil in the chat. Did they hate each other though, Tiger and Phil, like Azinger?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so.
No, they did not get along. They definitely did not get along.
You don't think so?
Yeah, but the Azinger Ballesteros thing, I mean, it goes back to the 88 Open, when Sevi had scuffed a ball. He hit a cart path or something, and Azinger wouldn't let him change that out. I mean, it's kind of where it started from there. Also, on the NASCAR thing, dude called in earlier, was talking about Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt. I have to contest that as a NASCAR aficionado, especially back in the 90s, used to go to a lot of races. Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon did not have a feud. As a matter of fact, Earnhardt took Gordon under his wing, called him the kid. Now, the fan bases adamantly hated each other, and I was a huge Gordon fan, by the way. The big NASCAR feuds was Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip. That was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, huge. And also, listen, first televised NASCAR race, first nationally televised NASCAR race was the Daytona 500 1979. Donnie Allison beats the crap out of Kel Yarborough in the infield immediately after the checkered flag.
Yeah, that one made it into the chat. Also, our pal Nick in Texas saying Jeff Bowden and Dale Earnhardt, or Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski. That one was a good one. Keselowski.
Yeah, Jeff Bodine.
Yeah, Bodine. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. There's some killer NASCAR feuds. Real quick before I go, I tried to call in yesterday, it didn't work out. I had to go. On the topic of the NBA officials, listen, here's the thing. I agree with you 100%. There's got to be more consistency. That sucks. But let me tell you what doesn't suck. The fact that they are finally letting them play right. I mean, I think it's wonderful. It takes back to the 80s and 90s. I think the game the other night between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets was the most fun that I had watching an NBA game, and I couldn't tell you how long. Letting them play, but I agree there's going to be consistency. You guys are the best. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's like let them play. I think we all love that. But also, if somebody throws a heat pad onto the floor, you've got to give that guy a tech. If somebody twists somebody's ankle, you've got to eject them. You know, there's part of this where it's like the refs aren't seeing anything now. All of a sudden, but I love the fact that we don't just have like James Harden go to the free throw line 30 times.
Well, I think they could have gotten rid of those crap offensive, whatever that Luka and James Harden throw your arms up and get a foul, and still been more consistent on physical fight. By NASCAR, we are forgetting about a huge one.
What's that?
Ricky Bobby and Gene Gerard.
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, that was brutal. Dude, they hated each other.
Ralph is in the chat. Again, if you want to watch the show, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen is the big Formula One rivalry right now. I don't know enough to know whether they actually hate each other. I'm not sure.
Or even dislike each other.
I feel like we've missed a little bit of the coaching fuse, it feels like, because I'm
Well,
thinking
Pete had the two Bills, Parcells and Belichick.
that was a good one. But even the callers haven't given us much. I mean, what about a Gino Auriemma, Pat Summitt feud? How about Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh?
Jim Harbaugh has a couple.
Yeah,
find one without Jim Harbaugh.
I know he's feud with everybody, Jim Schwartz. But there are some great coaching ones outside of Woody and Bo as well. You know.
Definitely. Keep them coming. The theme today is beefs and the greatest sports feuds. Not rivalries so much. We're talking about real hatred here. We're also talking about an idea that Austin Rivers threw out yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, that he said 30 players in the NBA could go and play in the NFL. Now, I don't think he was saying 30 like calculating. Lou Dort and then Anthony Edwards. He kind of threw it out there. Paul's in Rochester has a thought on it. Hey, Paul.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. What's up?
Listen, this is an easy one, man. You can take so many NBA guards and slot them in a wide receiver. You guys just talked about Calvin Johnson.
No way, Paul.
You just talked about Calvin Johnson, 6'4", 225, monster crazy. That's literally every NBA guard. You're telling me what? Russell Westbrook can't line up out there and do that? He'd be an animal. Like an animal. Steph Curry, 6'3". Like, every NBA guard is legit a big wide receiver right now.
Yeah.
Can't put him on the defensive line. You can't put him at linebacker, like maybe a ball-hawking safety or something like that. But wide receiver, line those dudes up.
Watch the NFL, Paul. Watch the NFL Combine. There are 40 gigantically tall, incredibly fast guys who catch every football in the Combine, Joel. Only about 10% of them actually make the NFL. It is you have to be so ridiculously good at wide receiver to make it in the NFL wide receiver.
But here's what you're missing about that point. But Paul, I think you and I are on the same page, which is you've already become an elite enough athlete to make the NBA, which is even harder to get to. There's even fewer roster spots, and it's more difficult to make an NBA roster than an NFL roster. There's fewer teams and fewer roster spots. It's just
That's the body control that's required for a guard to get to the rim in the NBA. You're telling me they can't run a slant route? They can't go up and get a ball? Of course they can.
Oh, it's such a different skill. It is so different. Steph Curry would last 3 seconds in the NFL.
Well, we don't know if he wants to get hit. Paul, thank you so much for the call. And
that's kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. No, you'd have to have like 30 willing participants, like Squid Games. You know, you got to sign up. You got to voluntarily go in there and accept the fate that becomes.
Could Anthony Edwards have made the Georgia football team?
Yes.
No, I think he could have.
No way.
Number 1 overall pick in the NBA. You're starting at such a high elite level of athleticism.
We're talking about Georgia. No way.
There were like 100 guys on the team. He could have been on the spot. He could have got a spot.
There are a lot.
I bet 84 of them got drafted in the NFL at Georgia. That was the one school that he just happened to play basketball.
I know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
855-212-4227. All right, keep it coming there. As Big Dave said, we have a mosaic of topics today. It's a kind way to put it. A lot of topics. Listen, lots going on. We love it all. It's like our children. You know, we can't just pick one. Do you want to talk about could NFL players, NBA players make it in the NFL? Or do you want to talk about great sports beefs and who had the best one and the best rivalry in sports? 855-212-4227. Coming up, we do have a lot on the docket, including play a little game called Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down. We'll do that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. Thank you, Austin Rivers. Always controversial, Austin Rivers, saying that 30 NBA players can make it in the NFL and no NFL players can make it in the NBA. Started a heated debate here on the show. I put it on Twitter that Anthony Edwards couldn't even make his college team, let alone the NFL. Now, that was convenient, Maggie, because he's the one NBA player who went to the University of Georgia, which happens to be an NFL fact. It's actually easier to make the NFL than to make Georgia. But someone did point out, this is interesting, Jalen Suggs, Orlando Magic, was Mr. Football in Minnesota. Oh. That dude, I could not see. He looks soft. I can't believe he's an NFL player. And several people have said Anthony Edwards can do anything because he is God. There's many versions of that. Yeah. He's having a moment right now. So, and I think you got caught up in that moment just because he's killing it in the NBA right now. You're like, well, that guy could play football. He could probably play baseball. Heck, put skates on him. He's going to probably win the Stanley Cup. Anthony Edwards is that good right now.
Agree. And also the body type, though. If we're being honest about this question, which has no answer, but 6'4", 225, that could be the height and weight of an NFL wide receiver. Why not?
How many 6'4", 200? I mean, it's kind of rare. You got DK. That's pretty darn big.
No, I know most guys are more like 6'2", 6'3", but you do get some of the taller dudes. And again, even tight end, you're asking who looks like Travis Kelce. I mean, Lou Dort looks like a Travis Kelce type
Oh my
body.
God. Yes, there's a million bodies like that. There are so many subtle skills that make Travis Kelce, most of which nobody even understands how Travis Kelce is doing this.
All these years later. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4227. Brian's in Harrisburg has a thought on this. Brian, could 30 NBA players go to the NFL?
Not a shot. I'm going to have to agree with Perloff on this. I just think that to play tight end, you not only have to be able to catch the ball, you got to actually block as well. You know what I mean? I've seen Jordan Love talking about Aaron Jones saying when they played Dallas in the playoffs that he was making unbelievable reads that he wasn't even supposed to be doing, you know, during like plays where he had to like block. And he was like, man, if you didn't make those blocks, like I don't know what I would do. So it's not only about like
your job. You got to know everyone else's jobs also, sort of.
Right. You know what I mean? You got to have like the smarts to, you know what I mean, actually play in the league.
Okay, how about this? How about this, Brian? You're right. If you're playing on the line or something like that, you've got to have a real deep knowledge. Maybe that's hard. What if you're someone who gets to be like on an island? What if you are like Revis? You know, what if?
Yeah, but those are such subtle skills that are just so honed over the years.
But you are, but it's not you and me going out there. Hold on, Brian. It's not you and me going out there. This is already somebody who has enough skill, great athleticism, footwork, balance, some degree of smarts if they made it in one league to be able to make it in another, right?
Right.
Right.
So if that argument, though, doesn't hold water, then you're saying the NFL players can play in the NBA, and we know they can't.
Well, because I think that there are positions in the NFL that I know they're skilled. I get it, but they're different type of skill. Not shooting a basketball skill. It's like trying to lock down a receiver skill. That's way more on athleticism.
No, I think honestly,
Austin Rivers go out there, play wide receiver, and actually like try to catch the ball in the end zone. And get hit at the same time and see if he has enough grace to actually make the catch.
No, he doesn't. I'll tell you that right now. Brian, you're 100% right. Listen,
Brian, thank you for the phone call. Good to hear from you.
Well, look at where we are in the NBA right now. Jamal Murray throws a heat pad in there, and the NBA talking heads are like, oh, my God, I can't believe everyone got out of there without getting hurt. I mean, this is, first of all, the flopping, like the NBA guys are not built mentally to play in the NFL. He talked about Aaron Jones. Pick up line. It's also to really want physicality. And if, there's no Oklahoma drills in the NBA. This is a totally different mindset. And that's what you have no idea about. That's why NFL teams don't even know how to draft guys because you have no idea if they have the mentality for the NFL.
You're so
right.
It's
not physical skills and it's not even athleticism. It's a lot more.
You're right. There is like a pushing your body car collision type of situation that is not present in the NBA. But that's where you have to actually take guys who are willing and want to do this and would want to go to the NFL. You can't just say, random 30 NBA guys, let's get Chet Holmgren out there and see if he can do it. Of course not. You have to have guys who really would want the smoke, so to speak, would want the physicality.
Those guys who want the smoke and physicality are not the more talented guys. So you're getting the less talented athletes who then you have to transition into. You're not even getting your Anthony Edwards. You're getting your goons.
You don't think Jay Crowder could have played in the NFL?
No, absolutely not.
Definitely.
Why do you think there's a million guys built like Jay Crowder? who did not make the NFL. It's not just because Jay Crowder is big and a good basketball player. You have no idea if he could have made the NFL.
Well,
he might have been Would it surprise you if Jay Crowder was a mid-level college football player? No. Okay, maybe, but I'm saying like 98% of those guys don't even make the NFL. The NFL is the elite of the elite. Maybe Jay Crowder could have played Division II football.
855-212-4227. So there you go. We're talking about this morning. Pat Boyle is in for Andrew Bagoosh. He has headlines for us. Hey, Pat.
Hey, 2 MVP finalists squaring off in the second round in the West. Game 1 last night, SGA shined. Luka, not so much. 29 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Thunder used a big fourth quarter run to put the Mavs to bed. 117-95 the final. Luka, 19 points, 6 of 19 from the field, and just 1 for 8 from 3.
Ooh.
The torture chamber claimed another victim last night. He had no room to breathe for most of the night when Lou Dort was guarding him on the perimeter.
Wait. I saw the game. He started out on fire, then he stepped on a guy's foot and did not hit a shot the rest of the night. So that's a torture chamber, or is that his right knee is hurt?
Well, whether he's hurt or not.
He was out there.
He was out there.
I get back to Joel Embiid. Yes, but you can't say he was clearly in pain. He was not explosive. Dude is hurt.
Well, we can make an excuse for like that for anybody then. If he's playing and he's able to play most of the full game, compromised or not, I'm not going to withhold criticism.
Listen, I think that he's definitely feeling it with the knee. There's no doubt about that. Do I also think Lou Dort is a good defender? Definitely. Because Luka's been playing with this bad knee for like a week, and he's still been able to get a shot off on other guys.
Luka started out the game, and he immediately, like 2 or 3 times down, put his guy in a blender and just swished in his face, and then it just disappeared altogether. So I think he's hurt.
Or the defender made adjusted.
The game.
What's that?
He was like 3 for 7 first quarter.
Yeah, no, I know, but when did he step on the guy's foot?
I don't know, but it was a couple baskets. It's not like he was,
But he just looked.
He was like 6 for 8, and then
it was very clear. He came down
small.
like the first couple of possessions, looked very confident against the Thunder.
Well,
and then he stepped on that guy's knee. It was early. It was like 5 minutes in the game, and nothing. They sat down. He had to sit down on the stanchion for a minute before he went to the free throw line. They took a break. He came back. He barely drew rim on his free throw. He was hurt. I'm just saying.
He is. Let's not gloss the fact that the torture chamber is an all-time great nickname.
Yes, and I wanted to definitely use that more than once today.
Yeah, I applaud you for that effort. What else would have happened last night?
Yeah, earlier in the night, the Celtics emptied the clip again.
Holiday driving, bounce pass into the paint. Cornette kick out. Jalen straightaway 3. Got it. Can't stay with the Celtics when they're knocking down their threes. 10 of 18 in the second half, and the lead is now 24.
Sean Grandy, Celtics Radio, he's spot on. 18 threes for the C's last night. They dominate the Cavs from start to finish, 120-95. Jaylen Brown with 32 points. Derek White poured in 25, made up for an off night from Jason Tatum, while they had 18. Donovan Mitchell, the lone bright spot for Cleveland, 33 points. Their bench could only muster up 15, and with Jared Allen out, Evan Mobley could not make up the difference himself, even with Kristaps Porzingis out with his calf injury. Earlier in the night, Rudy Gobert won his record-tying 4th Defensive Player of the Year award, and Jamal Murray was fined $100,000 for throwing a heat pack towards an official in the Nuggets Game 2 blowout loss on Monday night. No suspension, though, for Murray. He's good to play Game 3 Friday night in Minnesota. T-Wolves up 2-0. Tonight, we'll see if Nikola Jokic wins his 3rd MVP in 4 years, looking to become the 9th player in NBA history to win 3 MVPs. Quick game. Can you guys rattle off the other 8?
Sorry, say it again.
So 8 players have won the MVP 3 times or more in NBA history. Can you guys?
Well, that's all. You go one, I'll go one, and we'll see what we come up with.
1 for 1. Okay, Jordan.
Yep.
Kareem.
Yep.
Larry Bird.
Yep.
Magic.
Yep.
LeBron.
Yep.
How many were you up to?
You got 3 more to go.
Will Chamberlain.
Yep.
There's more.
Well, I mean, if I did Will, I would assume the other guy.
Oh, Bill Russell.
Yep.
Okay.
Last one's gonna be tough. Not like a dead away.
Yeah. So wait, there's only one left?
There's one left of 3 or more MVPs?
Yep.
What era?
Tim Duncan? No.
No. Tim had 2.
Dang.
You want me to give you the era?
Wait. Did we do all the obvious? So it's not obvious. Like we got all the big guns.
I would say it's not obvious when you think of like the all-time greats.
Are we talking about 80s, 90s, 2000s?
We're talking about as from 74 to 95.
Yeah, Oscar Robertson or Jerry. 74 to 95.
NBA champion and Finals MVP in 83.
Oh, Dr. J.
Dr. J.
No.
Oh, 83, Moses Malone.
Yep, Moses Malone.
Ah, dang
Dr.
it.
J
I
didn't
could-
win the MVP of that series? I guess it wasn't Moses.
No, I mean, that was
Moses was a
That
Terminator
was-
in that series.
Yeah.
I should have gotten Moses Malone. He won 3 MVPs.
Yeah.
Dang.
79, 82, 83, I think.
And Oscar Robertson didn't win 3 MVPs. The big O.
Nope.
Moses may be the most underrated player ever. Well, he destroyed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And he got Doc a ring. He went from MVP in the Western Conference playing for the Houston Rockets, next year MVP playing in the East, and then won a title. That's an incredible run.
And then tonight, looking forward to tonight, besides who's going to get the MVP. Standalone game, I'll be in the building. MSG Game 2, Knicks and Pacers. Speaking of some legendary names of the sport, Jalen Brunson has a chance to join even more rare company tonight. Only one other player in NBA history has scored 40 points or more in 5 consecutive playoff games. Do we know who that is?
That's probably one of the big men.
Oh, 5. So Jordan did do it 5?
Jordan did it 4.
Yeah.
Bernard King did it 4 times in a row. Brunson has done it 4. This guy did it 6 times in a row.
Yeah, it's got to be like Will or something,
Will.
right?
Nope.
Kareem?
Nope.
Moses Malone.
if it was Moses Malone again, that'd
Big
be amazing.
man. Whoa.
Not a big man. Not a big man.
Oh, not a big man. I thought you said big
I
man.
don't think he was
No.
a big man.
Oh.
You wouldn't know.
Kuzi? The Coos?
Nope.
Bob Cousy dribbles.
Logo.
Jerry West.
Oh,
Jerry
Jerry
West.
West.
Should have
He
known
was small forward, right?
that. Fine.
Yeah.
If you told me Jalen Brunson could play in the NFL, I might believe that because that man he's got that.
No, Brunson would get destroyed.
Oh, dude, his lower half is so strong.
Could be a
might
running
make-
back.
I think he could play left tackle. You cannot move that
I
human
think
being.
he could play running back at like
like
Texas
Derrick
San
Henry.
Antonio.
I don't think he's that fast.
Jalen Brunson's slow. I'm saying he could be.
I'm saying body type. Isn't Derrick Henry like 6'2"?
Right. No, but I feel like Jalen Brunson is so thick. He's kind of built like a guard. But anyway,
What position is he playing?
I beef him up, put him on the O line. Just be tough.
He could play fullback at
Put him
Texas
200
San
pounds on.
Antonio.
Anyway, what's it? All right, maybe it doesn't
Here is
work.
Brunson saying it's all about the team, not me scoring.
You told me at end of the third quarter I had 22, I was going to finish with 40. I would be like kind of slim considering how the game was going on. So I don't think about it at all. I think, what can we do? How can we be aggressive? How can we attack? And where can we get the best advantage for our team?
Tip off just after 8 Eastern. Go ahead.
Here's what I would say. Jalen Brunson, in the NFL, low man wins. That's the biggest rule of the sport. Jalen Brunson is low man in NBA. Nobody's got leverage. Nobody can cover him because that was my point. Makes no sense. Getting the finer points here.
I do like the point you made. I can't imagine Brunson in pads, like bowling
Really?
people
he's,
over.
He's a thick guy, and he plays it physical when he's backing guys down.
Look, I love him.
He's got that dog mentality. Like he is the toughest
I think
dude
if you're
there
gonna pick
is.
a Nick, it's Josh Hart. He compares himself to a defensive back all the time, and I see.
Or Randall.
Yeah.
The way he
Randall
runs
would
after
run
loose,
people over.
Randall too, but
How about
he's
OG?
6'8" though.
The fact, let's tell you something.
Actually, OG Anunoby could be the answer.
The Knicks are built like a football team. I think if they play
For
like
sure,
it.
yeah.
That's just as Tom Thibodeau intended.
Dante DiVincenzo kind of, I know he's not built. He kind of feels like a football guy too.
Feels like an Amendola.
Yeah, you're right. It's
Or a Wes Welker.
Tom Thibodeau. If we're going to start an NFL team, we look at all of Tom Thibodeau's teams and get guys off of them.
Here's the question: could Tom Thibodeau walk into like the Carolina Panthers and win 5 games?
Probably. Regular season games. He'd stink in the playoffs.
Stanley Cup playoffs. Rangers beat the Hurricanes in double OT. Vincent Trocheck power play goal, the game winner against his former team. Blue Shirts now up 2-0. The series shifts to Carolina tomorrow. And the Stars jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the first period against the Avalanche, but Colorado stormed back. 2 in the second, 1 in the third. Then Miles Wood won it in OT for a miraculous Game 1 comeback win on the road. Do you guys want to hear any baseball stuff at all?
Your best thing.
I would say either Willie Adames basically saying to Royals fans behind the dugout he's going to go hit a home run. Then he does it. Go ahead, 3-run home run. Brewers beat the Royals.
Babe Ruth style. I like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little different against the Royals, but sure.
Or I would say the thing I saw on social media was it Greg Amsinger of MLB Network right before they started the Dodgers game? They flashed the graphic no-hitter alert for Yamamoto. And that before the game even started, they go,
way.
yeah, no-hitter alert, because I
That's
guess
funny.
they were taking that game single coverage. So I guess they wanted to just do that. And then he gives up a bomb first pitch of the game to Jazz Chisholm.
Maybe the worst jinx ever.
Yeah.
That's not
That's
good.
great. By the way, Shohei seems super bothered by this. He's really struggling, right, with these gambling allegations?
Yeah. I mean,
dude.
again, that's just historic historic allegations. We're talking about if he's going to be suspended for the year, and then literally within 2 weeks, wiped under the rug, done.
I mean, I said on the show, I was like, I kind of want to see him do a Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds hitting home runs while allegations swirling around him, and I didn't think Shohei was like that, and I was dead wrong.
Talking about 3 MVPs, he's about to win his 3rd MVP already, or is it 4th? Is he?
No, it'd be 3rd.
I think he's got 2.
He'll get to experience eliminations in the first round.
Hey, but sorry, I don't have the standings in front of me. Who's the best team in baseball right now?
Pat, thank you so much. That was awesome.
Maggie, who's the best team in baseball?
Really appreciate
We don't have
all
time.
that.
We don't have time. We got to go to break.
Well, enjoy it while it lasts because the Braves are going to overtake
And trust
the
me, when they
Phillies
get
any
bounced in the playoffs, he'll be calling himself a Diamondbacks fan or something anyway.
So true, EJ. The other part of this, we've been talking, our great debate question today is greatest sports feuds of all time, not rivalries. We're talking about feuds, beef, bad blood. Your boy Bryce Harper's got a couple. Him and Jonathan Papelbon, and they were teammates. They got into it. And Hunter Strickland.
What? Who?
Yeah, exactly. Big Philly fan, this guy. Phillies love him. Got to know Bryce Harper's whole history.
That's a clown comment there, bro.
Almost got it. Almost.
Well, I couldn't say clown question because you didn't ask me a question.
That was a good comeback.
It was all right. Pat, fantastic job. Thank you so much. Great stuff all morning long. 855-212-4227. Got the question out there on the table, too. Number 1, greatest sports feuds and beefs. You're welcome to weigh in. And 2, do you agree with Austin Rivers, who said on the Pat McAfee show that 30 NBA players could go play in the NFL right now? Again, 855-212-4227. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. If you're stuck in a timeshare and want out, contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. All right, you're still welcome to weigh in on the two big questions we have for the show today. One is the greatest sports beefs and rivalries. Rivalries seem to be in the news a lot lately. Kendrick Lamar and Drake. You've got Tom Brady's roast, which brought out a lot of Patriots beefs from over the years. So you're welcome to weigh in on that. We also have a fun question from Austin Rivers, of all people, on the Pat McAfee show. He thought 30 players in the NBA could go to the NFL right away, and they could play in the NFL. Okay, we're going to play a little game here called Thumbs Up or Thumbs Down. EJ's going to give us something, a question, and we tell you whether thumbs up, thumbs down. Take it away.
All right, so let's begin in L.A., where you're talking about the L.A. Clippers. Season just ended, and a lot of questions about where some of their stars will go. You had the president, Lawrence Frank, when asked about the future of Harden and Paul George, he said he wants to retain those guys. Quote, yep, that's our intent. We want to retain those guys. We're hopeful we can. He also realizes that they're, quote, elite players, and they'll have choices considering they could both be free agents. So thumbs up, thumbs down, the Clippers wanting to retain Harden and Paul George.
I'm not sure how vertical I can make my thumbs down. This is the biggest thumbs down ever. The Clippers, what are they doing here? Why are they prolonging their agony? Even if these guys somehow are all healthy and on the court at the same time, James Harden's going to kill them in the end. Anyway, this is a waste of time. This is a waste of this fancy new arena Steve Ballmer with all the urinals is building. What a waste of 1 million urinals.
Yeah, thumbs up for the urinals, I guess.
Oh, that's huge. I love that.
Thumbs down for this. And I'm with you. 2 thumbs down, all the way down. How much more, like, whatever the opposite of proof of concept is, like, how much more do you need here that this is not going to work with these 3 guys? They already signed Kawhi. Double down now with Paul George and James Harden. I wouldn't go this direction.
They're very old, too. I mean, Harden's 34 already. He feels younger. And George, I know, is 35, and I think he's turning 35. Kawhi, I don't care what age he is. He has the body of a 50-year-old. He is not ready. This is not good.
What's next?
All right, let's go to Philly, where Perloff Sixers, he just disowned Moses Malone. There's their president, Daryl Morey, saying that they will have a lot of changes. He said, quote, we're not going to have continuity. We'll have continuity with our stars and our head coach, but we're going to have a lot of changes this season. So thumbs up, thumbs down. The Sixers going through a lot of changes this offseason.
Yeah, Perloff, I got to give you thumbs up here. Tobias Harris, I know people are really ready for him to be gone. But I think you obviously have to try something different. And I know you've had injuries, and Joel Embiid was not healthy basically all year. But how many times are the Sixers going to bang their head against the wall in the first or second round of the playoffs and come up snake eyes? You got to change stuff.
Oh, my God. There's no question. That being said, it's going to be really, really hard. There is not a magic bullet for them to do. Even with cap money, the people they're having to choose from are all between 35 and 45 years old. I definitely say change, but just because Morey says that does not mean it's going to be easy.
What's next?
So the Mavs are down 0-1, but Jason Kidd's up many M's because he just signed a new contract extension to remain the Dallas Mavericks head coach. It's being described as a multi-year extension, meaning he will not be the Lakers head coach. So thumbs up, thumbs down on the Mavs re-signing Jay Kidd as head coach.
No brainer. Yes, thumbs up, because what have we heard from Kyrie Irving this year? Nothing. So that's an incredible achievement as a coach that he sort of seems to have settled. And Kyrie's playing really well, too. It's not just that he's not doing off-court stuff. Seems to maximize him. So if you're Dallas and you were stuck with Kyrie, you got to make sure you have a coach who works well with him, that Kyrie likes. So I think this is a good marriage.
I'm going to say I want like one thumb up and one thumb down here. Can I do that? That's kind of cheating a little bit, because I think the only reason we haven't heard from Kyrie is because Kyrie doesn't want to put himself out there like that anymore to get the kind of blowback and also suspensions at some point for putting stuff out and promoting stuff that was anti-Semitic. The other thing is, if Luka can't get over the hump here and they don't start to win, who do you think they're going to point the fingers at? The coach. It's always going to be the coach. So I respect Jason Kidd as a coach, but it all seems good for now. Just wait. If they have 2 more early exits or deemed early exits in the postseason, he's going to be gone.
I think everyone knows that they don't have the personnel. I mean, look at their front court. It's kind of G League-ish.
Yep, I hear you. What's next?
All right. Denver's guard Jamal Murray, not suspended, but was fined $100,000 for throwing that heating pad onto the court. Thumbs up, thumbs down, the NBA decision to not suspend Jamal Murray.
Thumbs down all the way. What do you have to do to get in trouble anymore in the NBA? I mean, I know it wasn't malice at the palace, but you can't throw stuff onto the court. It is dangerous. These guys' ankles and knees are super fragile when you're 6'10" and 7 feet tall. The referees are boggling my mind this postseason. They're ruining the playoffs because they're so inconsistent.
I say do not suspend him, because there was a problem with the officiating in that game. They lost control of the game. If you suspend them, you're drawing more attention to the officials. Then they're literally ruining the series, because Jamal Murray had every right to be upset. He got steamrolled by Karl Anthony Towns, and they didn't blow the whistle because of this new trend of allowing physical play. Then there was a play where he was trapped all the way up and down the court. I thought he got hit. Other people said it was good defense. But if you suspend him, then you're drawing so much attention to bad officiating. Why would you do that? And also, like, who's going to watch that series if Jamal Murray's not there? So let's be realistic. I mean, the NBA is a business. You can't just suspend a player that makes the product just totally unwatchable.
Yeah, but again, you're hurting your sport in the long run, I think, because
guys are going to start chucking
maybe
different roll of tape, a heating pad,
slippery slope, Perloff,
maybe a knee brace,
dominoes falling, Theragun just like thrown out on the
well,
floor.
That's a little heavier, but yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's a little thumbs up, thumbs down for the NBA. And here's the thing. I'm the one who should want Jamal Murray playing more than anyone.
Why? Oh, yes. How can you go thumbs down?
Because I have a moral center, and I think of what's right and what's wrong. However, if I lose this bet to you, and if the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets, which looks almost inevitable at this point, I've got to eat this lime jello tuna fish combination that looks disgusting.
Okay. I mean, it's 2-0. It's not over. So you have a chance. I mean, I have to eat Bulls testicles if Denver wins.
You think Denver's really going to come back to win 4 out of 5 here? I mean, this is hard.
Well, it depends. I mean, you need a really healthy Jamal Murray and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and it doesn't seem like that's happening. But as you point out, 3 days rest. I mean, it's never over. Obviously, this is a great team. If Murray gets on fire, I have trouble seeing it.
No,
that's why I picked the T-Wolves. That's why I'm making you eat lime tuna jello.
I know, and this is one of the worst bets I've ever made, and I've worn a singlet already this calendar year.
Isn't it fun?
Multiple times.
Yes, multiple times.
It is fun to watch. I mean, this Anthony Edwards train is out of control. All of a sudden, I mean, there is to see, the NBA loves to lift up superstars, and this is what's happening. I mean, they are turning him into the face of the NBA in real time. In a matter of days, we're seeing him go from a star to a superstar.
855-212-4227. We've been asking you a couple questions. One, the greatest sports feuds and beefs. That's our great debate question for today. Also, Austin Rivers posed an idea that you could take 30 players from the NBA and they could make it in the NFL. Rich is in Chicago, has a thought about that. Rich, what's up, dude?
Hey, I'll be fast. I know we got a short time. The greatest feud that most people don't know about and I know this to be true because I played with one of these guys, is Arnold Palmer and Curtis Strange. They hate each other's guts.
Wow.
And the reason is they both went to Wake Forest as alumni. The nicest guy in the United States ever in golf was Arnold Palmer. Strange played with him in a Pro-Am. Now I know why Palmer hates him. Nobody likes Strange. So Strange could have a bunch of those guys, but Palmer primarily. Now, in terms of pro sports, Charlie Ward, your producer said was already mentioned.
Yeah.
From basketball to football. But let me give you some guys I actually saw that were unbelievably recruited to play football. One of which will be Perloff's favorite. Vince Carter got recruited by 30 football schools in high school.
No, tall. He's 6'6". What position would he be? A wide receiver?
He was unbelievably fast and athletic. Vince Carter.
Can you imagine Vince Carter? You know how guys hurdle each other, try to hurdle? Vince Carter would be able to do that probably better than Josh Allen.
And he could dunk the ball over the goalpost dramatically.
I know. That was a foul for a while.
Guy, I saw him play in high school. I'm from Florida originally. He's from Daytona. The guy is just unbelievable.
Wow.
And the other guy that may really surprise you is Wilbur Marshall was recruited for basketball by about 25 schools.
The linebacker for the Bears back in the day?
Yeah,
Wow.
6'2", 225, athletic. I mean, the guy was probably one of the fastest guys on theirs.
Rich, thank you for weighing in. Appreciate that. Yeah, listen, Vince Carter. Now you got me thinking about would Vince Carter have been a good NFL player?
Yeah, I've told you guys this before, but I've had this theory, and I told Perloff this, and I think he agrees with it. I don't know why college football teams don't, if you're, for example, the Purdue football team, why didn't you say, hey, Zach Edey, come on.
Yeah.
You're only going to play special teams, and your job is to block field goals.
And I think he probably said, go screw.
He should do it. Why not?
Because
I never signed off on this, but I do love this. I think exactly like you.
But he's not going to do that because why would he put in jeopardy the future potential millions that are waiting him in the NBA?
There's no risk in him standing behind the defensive line and just putting his hands up and jumping, and he'd probably block a million field goals.
All you need is someone to come from the side and take out one of his knees or something. Be silly. That was a lot of fun. EJ Stewart, thank you so much. Pete Bellotti, to Pat Boyle, to Andrew Kaplan, even Andrew Bagoosh stopped in for a second today. And the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers, as always, you guys are on point. See you tomorrow.